The divine sword is invincible. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 576. Are you the one who rolls down? Or am I the one who makes you roll down? Wait. Just as the Yellow Spring Ghost King was about to attack, an ancient ancestor of the Phoenix clan who was on good terms with the Cold Dragon Sword God could not help but say, "Descendant of the Yellow Spring Patriarch, you are going too far. The Cold Dragon Sword God just said one thing to you, and you want to cripple him and extract his soul." Yang Xiaoshan sneered when he heard this. He didn't believe that the Cold Dragon Sword God was just talking just now. If it weren't for the Yellow Spring Ghost King and a few others, the Cold Dragon Sword God would definitely cripple him and extract his soul. Since you want to kill someone, you must be prepared to be killed, Yang Xiaoshan said coldly. The Yellow Spring Ghost King immediately stepped forward, grabbed the Cold Dragon Sword God in front of him, and suddenly with a claw, directly penetrated into the Cold Dragon Sword God's dantian, and crushed the Cold Dragon Sword God's dantian. The Cold Dragon Sword God screamed. Then, the Yellow Spring Ghost King inserted a claw from the top of the Cold Dragon Sword God's head, and grabbed into the Cold Dragon Sword God's head. A black little dragon was taken out, which was the Cold Dragon Sword God's soul. The Cold Dragon Sword God screamed miserably. The pain of having his soul sucked out was absolutely unimaginable. Everyone's face changed drastically when they saw this miserable scene. No one expected that Yang Xiaoshan would really cripple the Cold Dragon Sword God and really suck out his soul. At this moment, a ball of green ghost fire came out of the hands of the Yellow Spring Ghost King, roasting the Cold Dragon Sword God's soul. The Cold Dragon Sword God's soul was roasted and smoked, and he cried miserably like a dragon. Everyone was frightened by this scene. Everyone present had seen big scenes, but it was the first time they saw a Supreme Sword God having his soul sucked out and then roasted. The ancient ancestor of the Phoenix clan trembled with anger, and he stared at Yang Xiaoshan in extreme anger. You. Yang Xiaoshan just glanced at him coldly, and the ancient ancestor of the Phoenix clan turned pale and fled in panic. The strong men of the Shenlong clan watched the soul of the Cold Dragon Sword God being roasted, roared, and rushed forward, but they were all blown away by a sudden punch from the Titan troll. In the end, the soul of the Cold Dragon Sword God was burned to ashes. An old ancestor of the Shenlong clan had blood in his eyes and roared angrily, "I will kill you." He rushed up again angrily. Seeing this, the Yellow Spring Ghost King directly took the opponent in front of him and crushed him alive. The Shenlong clan was so scared that they stopped and finally looked terrified. The strong men from all sides were also terrified. The masters who had just stared at Yang Xiaoshan like wolves and tigers were almost scared to death. Zan Shipping and others also had cold hands and feet when they saw the Yellow Spring Ghost King. They had seen the Yellow Spring Ghost King in the Mu family's main mansion, and none of them thought that the old man who was dying of illness beside young Master Yang would be such a terrifying demon. The Shenlong clan was finally scared and pulled Long Xiangdang away. Yang Xiaoshan did not chase him and continued to fly to Kunlun Mountain with the Ghost King of Huangquan. The strong men from all sides who originally wanted to attack Yang Xiaoshan, the descendant of Huangquan Patriarch, were scared and hid far away, fearing that they could not avoid him. Muan King and others hesitated for a moment, and finally followed Yang Xiaoshan. The news that Yang Xiaoshan came to Kunlun Mountain soon reached Zhaorong of Tangshan Divine Sect. Zhaorong heard it and laughed coldly, "How dare you come to Kunlun Mountain to join in the fun?" However, in addition to the old man of years, there is another old man beside him, who is very powerful. Just now, the news came that the Cold Dragon Sword God was slapped away by this old man, and then his dantian was destroyed, his soul was extracted, and even his soul was roasted alive. Wanji Sword God frowned. He also said that the soul of the Cold Dragon Sword God should be extracted and roasted to see if it is fragrant. Zhaorong was puzzled. Roasted to see if it is fragrant? He seemed to have seen this sentence in an ancient book a long time ago. He's just an old man. No matter how strong he is, can he be stronger than the leader? With one sword from the leader, all the gods are destroyed. Besides, there are only a few of them. How much trouble can they cause? The 4C sword god said indifferently. Leader, should we take action now and capture them? Another sword god said. Zhao pondered and said, no hurry. Let's have someone monitor them first. They can't run away. After all, the Kunlun sword contest is imminent, and the most important thing now is the Kunlun sword contest. Soon, Yang Xiaoshan and his party arrived at Kunlun Mountain, and flew to the halfway point of Kunlun Mountain. There is a terrifying ban on the top of Kunlun Mountain. Even the peerless sword god cannot climb up. Therefore, every Kunlun sword contest is held halfway up Kunlun Mountain. There is a huge martial arts arena halfway up Kunlun Mountain. The martial arts arena is extremely wide. When Yang Xiaoshan and his party arrived, the martial arts arena was surrounded by powerful people from all sides. The number of people was more than hundreds of millions. When Yang Xiaoshan and his party arrived at the martial arts arena halfway up the mountain, some of the sword god thrones around the martial arts arena were already occupied, while some were still empty. These sword god thrones can only be owned by those in the top 100 of the previous sword god list. This is the rule of Kunlun sword contest. Yang Xiaoshan and his party came to the 29th sword god throne of the Southern Sky Sword God. Originally, Yang Xiaoshan wanted the Southern Sky Sword God to sit, but the Southern Sky Sword God insisted on letting Yang Xiaoshan sit. With the Yellow Spring Ghost King and the Heaven Shaking Sword God, how could the Southern Sky Sword God dare to sit by himself? Even without the Yellow Spring Ghost King and the Heaven Shaking Sword God, there was still the Old Man of Time. So, he insisted that Yang Xiaoshan sit. Yang Xiaoshan had no choice but to sit on it. The owners of these sword god thrones can't sit on them themselves, or let others sit on them. Of course, it is very rare for the sword god throne to be led by others. Therefore, when the strong men from all sides saw the Southern Sky Sword God let Yang Xiaoshan sit on the sword god throne, they all looked at Yang Xiaoshan sideways. Who is this young man? Many sword gods did not recognize Yang Xiaoshan and asked the people behind him. Grand Master, he is the descendant of Huanquan Patriarch. What? He is the descendant of Huanquan Patriarch. Many people at the scene were shocked, and there was a commotion. Since many people did not know what happened to the Cold Dragon Sword God just now, when they heard that the young man in front of them was the descendant of Huanquan Patriarch, they all stared at Yang Xiaoshan with green eyes. However, many people still worried about the Southern Sky Sword God, so no one dared to make a move for a while. Just as Yang Xiaoshan unfolded his soul power, scanning the scene, sensing whether there was the breath of the immortal death god or the ancient heart demon, someone finally couldn't bear it anymore and flew out of the crowd. The person who came out was a young man. He landed in the center of the martial arts arena and pointed his sword at Yang Xiaoshan. Boy, you are the descendant of Huanquan Patriarch, right? Are you rolling down? Or am I going to make you roll down myself? Seeing the young man, many people at the scene were surprised. It's the son of the Divine Emperor. The son of the Divine Emperor has cultivated the 10 strongest sword hearts and possesses the posture of a sword god. The Divine Emperor sect is one of the superpowers in the Wanjian continent. Its strength is extremely strong, even stronger than the Avasi Demon sect and the Ksatagarbha Buddha sect. This son of the Divine Emperor sect is very talented and is the best among all the sons of the Divine Emperor in the entire Wanjian continent. Chapter 577, the number 1 person under the gods. When the Ghost King of Huanquan and the Sword God of Heaven saw the son of the Divine Emperor pointing his sword at Yang Xiaoshan, their faces all darkened. Just as the Titan trolls were about to attack, Yang Xiaoshan suddenly punched out. The force of his fist turned into millions of holy dragons. The holy dragons were like the sea, and the dragon roars resounded through the world. In an instant, the son of the Divine Emperor was submerged and swallowed. The son of the Divine Emperor was like a kite with a broken string, shooting backwards and smashing at the end of the martial arts field, with dust rolling. Everyone was shocked. Didn't they say that the descendant of the Huanquan Patriarch was at the Emperor realm? How could he be so strong? Second level of the Holy Realm. Last time in the Temple of Destiny, he was clearly at the Emperor realm, but he actually broke through to the second level of the Holy Realm. How could it be so fast? There was an uproar at the scene. As the son of the Divine Emperor, the son of the Divine Emperor was extremely powerful. Although he was at the 7th level of the Holy Realm, his combat power was far from comparable to many 7th level Holy Realm people, but now, he was blown away by Yang Xiaoshen's punch. The son of the Divine Emperor was seen smashed to the end of the martial arts arena, dying. Even if he was saved, he would be useless. His Danshan and the acupoints in his body had been completely destroyed by Yang Xiaoshen's punch just now. At this time, Zhao Rong led a large number of masters of the Tangshan divine sect to rush over. Seeing this scene, he had a murderous look in his eyes. He didn't expect that in just a few months, Yang Xiaoshen's strength had improved so much, and his combat power was so high. At the 2nd level of the Martial Saint, he punched away the 7th level of the Martial Saint. Such combat power is definitely unique in the Wanjian continent. Therefore, when Zhao Rong led a large number of masters of the Tangshan divine sect past Yang Xiaoshen, the Southern Heaven Sword God and others, he did not hide the murderous intent in his eyes. When Zhao Rong looked over, Yang Xiaoshen also looked at Zhao Rong with a calm and indifferent look. The fist ancestor behind Zhao Rong saw the old man behind Yang Xiaoshen. His eyes were cold, and at the same time, he looked at the Yellow Spring Ghost King with suspicion. He had heard about the Yellow Spring Ghost King roasting the soul of the Cold Dragon Sword God, so he wondered if it was the Yellow Spring Ghost King who rescued the Old Man of Time that night. The black and white swords behind Zhao Rong were staring at the heaven-shaking sword god, also with a look of suspicion. The two of them always felt that they had seen this thin middle-aged man somewhere a long time ago, but they couldn't remember it. However, Zhao Rong and others did not make a move. Zhao Rong led a group of masters past Yang Xiaoshen and came to the number 2 sword god throne and sat down. In the last Kunlun sword contest, Zhao Rong was the second. Seeing Zhao Rong, the fist ancestor, the black and white swords, the 10,000 tribulation sword god and other Tangshan divine sect masters coming, the originally noisy martial arts field quieted down. Zhao Rong did not release an amazing momentum, but all the sword masters at the scene looked at Zhao Rong with awe. No other reason. It was because Zhao Rong had cultivated 15 kinds of supreme sword intent. Before Zhao Rong, only Lord Han Feng could cultivate the 15 supreme sword intents. Now, with the disappearance of Lord Han Feng, Zhao Rong has become the only supreme sword god in Wanjian continent who possesses the 15 supreme sword intents. At this time, Liang Gang, the youngest disciple behind Zhao Rong, stepped forward and bowed to Zhao Rong, saying, "Master, Cunning is my most beloved disciple. He was brutally murdered by someone else. The murderer is at the scene. I want to beg you to allow me to kill the enemy and avenge Cunning." Liang Gang did not act in the name of Tangshan divine religion, but as a master. No one can say anything when a master avenges his disciple. Zhao Rong looked calm and nodded. "Go. Thank you, master." Liang Gang thanked him respectfully, then flew out and landed in the center of the martial arts arena. There was silence at the scene. Millions of powerful people all looked at Liang Gang and Yang Xiaoshen. Liang Gang looked at Yang Xiaoshen coldly. "Cunning is my disciple. He died under your sword. Today, I will use my sword to pierce your throat. Just like you killed my disciple, I will kill you." Suddenly, someone in the crowd shouted, "Liang Gang, you are at the peak of the 10th level of the Holy Realm, and you have the nerve to attack a junior. Don't you feel ashamed?" "I'm ashamed for Zhao Rong." Everyone was stunned. Zhao Rong's face sank, and he looked at the crowd. "Master, let me take action." The Titan Troll stepped forward and said respectfully to Yang Xiaoshen, "No need." Yang Xiaoshen shook his hand, then broke through the air and landed in the center of the martial arts arena. Liang Gang is the youngest disciple among Zhao Rong's 7 disciples, and the only disciple who has not broken through the divine realm. However, Liang Gang is the most talented among Zhao Rong's 7 disciples. Although he is at the peak of the 10th level of the Holy Realm, he has condensed 10 holy fruits. At the peak of the Holy Realm, he once killed a wounded divine 1st level strongman. Although the 1st level god was injured, being able to kill a 1st level god with the peak of the Holy Realm also shocked the Wanjian continent. Therefore, Liang Gang was called the number 1 person under the gods in the Wanjian continent. Another meaning is that Liang Gang is absolutely invincible under the gods. Seeing Yang Xiaoshen coming down, Liang Gang said coldly, "Boy, summon your 2 divine golden pills and 3 Hunio and destiny." Hearing Liang Gang mention the 2 divine golden pills and 3 Hunio and destiny, everyone held their breath. Even Zhao Rong, Quan Zu, and the black and white swords and other masters stared at Yang Ocean. The divine golden pill and the Hunio and destiny are both miracles, and everyone wants to see these 2 legendary miracles. Yang Ocean looked at the other party indifferently. To kill you, I don't need to touch my divine golden pill, let alone my Hunio and destiny. What? When the hundreds of millions of strong men at the scene heard it, they were all in an uproar. The Fist Master sneered. This boy doesn't know how high the sky is, how thick the earth is, he simply doesn't know how to live or die. Zhao Rong also sneered, sitting on the throne, and looking down at Yang Ocean. Liang Gang heard this and laughed angrily. Kill me? Don't you need to use your divine golden elixir and Hunio and destiny? Okay, then I'll see how you kill me. At this point, he rushed out and punched Yang Ocean in the chest. Liang Gang's speed was so fast that even many powerful people in the first level of the divine realm could only see a vague figure. As Liang Gang punched out, a giant tiger flew out of the air with the force of his fist. Divine Tiger Heaven Suppressing Fist. The strongest fist of the Tangshan divine religion. This divine Tiger Heaven Suppressing Fist is also the famous unique skill of the Fist Master. Liang Gang punched out, and the giant tiger roared. It was obvious that he had cultivated to the extremely high level of fist spirit. Boom. Before everyone could react, they saw Liang Gang punched Yang Ocean in the chest. With a loud bang, the aftermath of the terrifying fist wave shook the eardrums of many strong men. He won't die just like that, someone said in surprise and astonishment when seeing Yang Ocean being hit by Liang Gang's punch. After all, Liang Gang was known to be invincible under the gods. With one punch, many strong men of the 10th level of the Holy Realm would die. But then, everyone was stunned, all with a look of shock. Yang Ocean stood there, his whole body was radiant, and he didn't move at all. Liang Gang's divine Tiger Heaven Suppressing Fist couldn't even blast Yang Ocean back half a step. What? The Fist Ancestor, the black and white swords, and all the masters of the Tangshan divine sect were shocked. The divine art of destiny. Zhao Rong saw the light flowing on Yang Ocean's body, and his face sank. Chapter 578 How come you also know the divine Tiger Heaven Suppressing Fist? Liang Gang also looked unbelievable. His invincible divine Tiger Heaven Suppressing Fist could kill a saint of the 10th level, but it couldn't defeat a saint of the 2nd level Huangquan Patriarch. Moreover, this descendant of the Huangquan Patriarch actually cultivated the most difficult destiny divine art. And it seems that he has already entered the realm of minor success. Back then, his master Zhao Rong practiced hard for 300 or 400 years, but he couldn't enter the realm of minor success. How did he cultivate the destiny divine art to the realm of minor success? While Zhao Rong was surprised, he couldn't help but think of the destiny divine tree. He looked at Yang Ocean with even more fiery eyes. In his opinion, the reason why Yang Ocean was able to cultivate the destiny divine art to the realm of minor success so quickly must be with the help of the destiny divine tree. He clenched his fists. No matter what, he would get the destiny divine tree from this kid today. Just when everyone was surprised by Yang Ocean's destiny divine art, Yang Ocean's whole body was shining, and an extremely powerful force surged out, shaking Liang Gang back again and again. Liang Gang retreated hundreds of steps before he could completely stabilize his body. After stabilizing his body, Liang Gang felt that his right arm was in pain from the punch, and he was shocked. He was a top-level divine body in the 3 lives, but his right arm was in such pain. I didn't expect you to have cultivated the divine art of destiny. Liang Gang took a deep breath, and the murderous intent in his eyes was even stronger. No wonder you are so arrogant. You can block my divine Tiger Heaven Suppressing Fist. I wonder if you can block the power of my invincible holy fruit. At this point, Liang Gang frantically urged the power of the divine sea holy fruit. Suddenly, holy light gushed out of his whole body. As Liang Gang urged the power of the divine sea holy fruit, a round yellow holy fruit appeared behind Liang Gang. The surface of this yellow holy fruit was wrapped with 8 clear veins. 8th level holy fruit. Everyone was shocked when they saw Liang Gang's holy fruit. The Taichu holy fruit has not been seen for many years. Below Taichu is the 9th level holy fruit. In the Wanjian continent of the world, there are very few people who can condense a 9th level holy fruit. If the 9th level holy fruit does not appear, then the 8th level holy fruit will be invincible. Just as everyone was shocked, another yellow holy fruit condensed behind Liang Gang, also with 8 lines. Then, the 3rd, and the 4th. Soon, 10 holy fruits condensed behind Liang Gang, and there were 10 8-fold holy fruits. 10 8-fold holy fruits. The 5th ancestor standing next to Zhao Rong exclaimed, the only one in this generation. Just as everyone was shocked, the 11th 8-fold holy fruit condensed behind Liang Gang. The 11th one. Many powerful family members were shocked. 10 8-fold holy fruits are the only one in this generation. What about the 11th one? But this is not over yet, and then the 12th 8-fold holy fruit condensed behind Liang Gang. The 12th one. Everyone was boiling. With the power of the 12 8-fold holy fruits, the surging holy power roared out, forming a vast ocean of holy power around Liang Gang's body. Liang Gang stood there, and an invincible momentum swept over. As expected of the number 1 person under the gods. The black and white swords looked at Liang Gang's 12 8-fold holy fruits, and were also moved. Invincible. This is the invincible power of the number 1 person under the gods of the Wanjian continent. Now everyone finally understood why Liang Gang could kill a strong man of the 1st level of the god realm. Master Liang Gang is invincible. Many masters of the Tangshan divine religion couldn't help but shout. Just as the masters of the Tangshan divine religion shouted, suddenly, Yang Zai Ocean moved. Yang Zai Ocean came to Liang Gang in an instant. Liang Gang looked at Yang Zai Ocean who was attacking and smiled coldly, just looking for death. At this point, he suddenly punched out, still the divine tiger heaven suppressing fist. But under the power of the 12 8-fold holy fruits, the power of the divine tiger heaven suppressing fist this time was more than 10 times that of the previous one. A divine tiger with holy light rising to the sky appeared in front of everyone. This divine tiger seemed to have the power to tear the sky and split the earth. The divine tiger tore through the layers of space and blasted towards Yang Zai Ocean. Yang Zai Ocean used all his strength to push the eternal divine body and punched out. As Yang Zai Ocean punched out, the time power of the eternal divine body turned into a huge wave and roared out. Then, a thunderous tiger roar resounded throughout the Kunlun divine mountain. A bigger and stronger divine tiger flew out from Yang Zai Ocean's fist. What? The divine tiger heaven suppressing fist? How can the descendant of Huangquan Patriarch also know the divine tiger heaven suppressing fist? Seeing Yang Zai Ocean's punch, everyone was shocked. Zhao Rong, the 5th ancestor, was no exception. The divine tiger heaven suppressing fist is the strongest fist of the Tangshan divine sect, and is an eternal secret. How could this descendant of Huangquan Patriarch know it? Exclamation mark. What shocked Zhao Rong, the 5th ancestor and other masters even more was the surging time power on Yang Zai Ocean's body. Time. This is the eternal divine body. In the crowd, an old ancestor screamed excitedly. What? The eternal divine body that dominates the world. The descendant of Huangquan Patriarch actually cultivated the eternal divine body. Everyone was shocked. Even many sword gods sitting on the throne stood up, with faces full of shock. In the world of martial spirits, from ancient times to the present, no one except the ruler of heaven and earth can control the power of time. But now, a second eternal divine body has appeared. And it is on the descendant of the terrifying troll Huangquan. Many people are boiling. Mu Wanking, Lu Yutong and others also have incredible faces. Boom. Yang Zai Ocean's divine tiger heaven suppressing fist and Liang Gang's divine tiger heaven suppressing fist collided with each other. There was a loud noise that shook the sky. Liang Gang's divine tiger heaven suppressing fist was instantly blown up by Yang Zai Ocean, and then Yang Zai Ocean's time god tiger continued to bombard Liang Gang. Liang Gang was terrified and frantically urged his whole body defense. He was covered with a divine armor, and at the same time, a divine shield flew out. But it was useless. As soon as the divine shield flew out, it was blown away by the time god tiger. When the divine shield was blown away, the divine shield that was originally gushing with divine light suddenly dimmed, as if it had completely lost its divinity. Bang! Liang Gang was blown away. The divine armor on his body was given to him by Zhao Rong. It was an ancient divine armor with amazing defense. But even this ancient divine armor with amazing defense was useless. When Liang Gang hit the end of the martial arts field like a meteorite, he saw that the divine armor on his body also lost its divine light, as if it had been terribly destroyed. Liang Gang vomited blood. There was a huge fist mark of a divine tiger head on his divine armor, which almost covered his entire chest. The divine armor had been completely collapsed by the blow, like scrap copper and rotten iron. Everyone gasped. Liang Gang, who had 12 eightfold holy fruits, and was known to be invincible under the gods, was actually destroyed by a punch. And this descendant of Huangquan Patriarch was only at the second level of the holy realm. At this moment, suddenly, a figure flew out of the air and punched Yang Xiaoshan. Boy, let me experience the power of your eternal divine body. The other party punched out and roared with divine power. The one who attacked was a patriarch of the Tangshan divine sect who was in the middle of the first level of the divine realm. This patriarch was not just an ordinary patriarch of the middle of the first level of the divine realm, but a disciple of the fist ancestor. His fighting power was amazing, and he could be said to be a powerful existence that could sweep through people of the same level. When everyone saw that the disciple of the fist ancestor, a strong man in the middle of the first level of the divine realm, suddenly attacked a saint realm person, they couldn't help but secretly cursed him for being shameless. The Titan Troll, the Southern Sky Sword God, and the others looked gloomy and were about to attack, but Yang Xiaoshan said, "No need." Chapter 579, 15 Hunyuan appeared in the world from then on. As Yang Xiaoshan finished speaking, a huge divine tiger flew out of the air and blasted towards Yang Xiaoshan. The divine tiger roared and shook the world. The terrifying power overwhelmed the world. The punch of the disciple taught by the fist master was many times more powerful than Liang Gang. The punch was about to blow Yang Xiaoshan away, but suddenly, Yang Xiaoshan's whole body burst into light and the Hunyuan destiny flew out. When the Hunyuan destiny flew out, the world shook, and the Kunlun divine mountain, which had been silent for billions of years, actually shook. Everyone was shocked. Hunyuan destiny. Seeing that Yang Xiaoshan finally summoned the Hunyuan destiny, many ancestors stood up and were extremely excited. Hunyuan destiny, this eternal miracle, no matter who witnessed it with their own eyes, it was difficult to hide the excitement and shock in their hearts. Zhao Ran looked at the 12,960 li, huge Hunyuan destiny, and was also shocked. Of course, he was more jealous and envious. It seems that this kid is finally going to use the power of the three Hunyuan destinies. The fist master was shocked and sneered. Although the power of Hunyuan Xianming was strong, in his opinion, even if Yang Xiaoshan activated the power of the three Hunyuan Xianming and the two divine golden elixirs, he could not withstand the punch of his direct disciple. This punch of his direct disciple would 100% kill the descendant of Huangquan Patriarch, or even kill him. Although the eternal divine body was strong, the descendant of Huangquan Patriarch was only at the second level of the saint realm, which was not enough to exert the power of the eternal divine body. Under the gaze of everyone, soon, Yang Xiaoshan's three Hunyuan Xianming flew out. The three Hunyuan Xianmings coiled around the sky, and the surging Hunyuan Xian force enveloped the world. The three Hunyuan Xianmings, the eternal miracle, an ancestor of the Golden Giant clan, was extremely amazed. Mu Wanking, Lu Yutong and others were also shocked. All the millions of strong men were shocked. But at this moment, suddenly, the world shook again, and the fourth Hunyuan Xianming flew out of Yang Xiaoshan's body. What? This? The four Hunyuan Xianmings? The chief of the Tiger Demon clan trembled. The millions of strong men at the scene were in an uproar. Zhao Rang's face darkened. The fist master's eyes turned cold. Even if this kid had the four great mixed destiny, it would not matter. He still could not block his disciple's punch. Four great mixed destiny. The Holy Emperor Fangjing and Qian Mu Sword God, who were sitting on the 3rd and 10th Sword God thrones respectively, were also excited to see the scene in front of them. Even they did not expect Yang Xiaoshan to have the four great mixed destiny. Just when everyone was shocked, suddenly, the 5th mixed destiny flew out of Yang Xiaoshan. 5 great mixed destiny. Everyone's eyes widened. The fist master clenched his fists, his face gloomy. This kid actually cultivated 5 great mixed destiny. Not 3, not 4. Just when the fist master's face darkened, suddenly, he saw that the 6th, 7th, and 8th mixed destiny kept slipping out of Yang Ocean's body. Then, the 9th. The 10th. Everyone was dazzled and couldn't take it all. 10 great Union destinies. Zaorong, the Fist Ancestor, the Black and White Swords, the Wanji Sword God, and many other powerful people all took a breath of cold air. The Holy Emperor and the Qianmu Sword God were also stunned. Not to mention Fangjing, Muan King and others standing behind them. 11 Hunayan. Suddenly, an old ancestor trembled. Everyone was shocked to see the 11th Hunayan destiny flying out of Yang Ocean's body. The 11 Hunayan destinies were suspended in the sky, so bright, so dazzling, illuminating one piece of space after another in the Kunlun Divine Mountain. But this is not over yet, and then the 12th, 13th, and 14th Hunayan destinies flew out of Yang Ocean's body. The 14 Hunayan destinies, circling for 9 days, the light vibrated, the Hunayan power was endless, gushing, submerging the entire martial arts square, submerging hundreds of millions of powerful people. Everyone looked at the 14 Hunayan destinies in front of them and was shocked. In this world, cultivating 14 ninefold destinies is shocking for eternity. And now, the descendant of Huangquan Patriarch has cultivated 14 Hunayan destiny. Some sword gods who were originally sitting on the sword god throne, all stood up involuntarily at this moment. All of them were shocked by the miracle that had lasted for billions of years. 14 Hunayan destiny. I, Pengzu, have actually seen 14 Hunayan destiny in my life. A sword god was so excited that he was incoherent. His eyes were filled with tears. How lucky I'm to see 14 Hunayan destiny in my life. Zaorong, the Fist Ancestor, was also deeply shocked by the miracle that had lasted for billions of years and couldn't help but stand up. Everyone stood up. Even some old monsters that were originally hidden in the depths of the surrounding void all showed their figures. Suddenly, everyone saw that Yang Ocean's whole body was shining again, and another huge Hunayan destiny flew out. Everyone was stunned. No one thought that there was actually another Hunayan destiny. In everyone's consciousness, 14 destiny was already the limit, and they had never thought that there was 15 destiny. But now, 15 destiny appeared between heaven and earth. 10, 15 Hunayan destiny. Many ancestors' minds went blank. 15 Hunayan destiny was above the 9 heavens, and the light was like an endless ocean, illuminating the space of Kunlun Mountain one by one. 15 Hunayan power filled every corner of Kunlun Mountain. Then, everyone saw that Yang Ocean's body also gushed out many Hunayan powers, and the divine light rushed into the sky. No one had ever seen such a strong and brilliant divine light. Heavenly destiny body. One of the oldest ancient ancestors trembled. It's the Hunayan destiny body. The sword god of apocalypse trembled. Hunayan destiny body. The miracle of heaven and earth that had never existed before appeared in the world from now on. When the Hunayan power of the Hunayan destiny body gushed out, the terrifying fist force that bombarded Yang Ocean was blown away like sand and dust. The powerful and incomparable punch of the Fist Ancestor's direct disciple dissipated the world. Even a punch infused with the power of mid-level strongman of the first level of the spirit was shattered by the power of the 15th primordial destiny and the primordial destiny divine body. Yang Ocean suddenly punched out. The power of the 15th primordial destiny and the primordial destiny divine body roared out. The space trembled violently, and the Kunlun divine mountain actually glowed with layers of divine light. Boom. The disciple of the Fist Ancestor was thrown into the air and shot straight out of the Kunlun Divine Mountain for an unknown number of miles and smashed down the Kunlun Divine Mountain. Even if he frantically urged all his divine power, he could not block the punch of the 15th Primordial Destiny and the Primordial Destiny Divine Body. But at this moment, no one cared about the life or death of the Fist Ancestor's disciple. Everyone was shocked to see the 15th Primordial Destiny and the Primordial Destiny Divine Body that appeared in the world for the first time. At this moment, suddenly, several figures flew out from behind Zaorong and landed on the martial arts field. "The four of us brothers are here to learn from your tricks," one of them said. The four Kingsu gods. An old ancestor was surprised when he saw the four people. The four Kingsu gods were famous old ancestors of the Tangshan divine sect. The four of them were brothers. All of them were in the second late stage of the divine spirit. They went out and came in together, and every time the four of them attacked together, If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 580. One man fights 3,000 gods. After the four Kingsu gods finished speaking, they simultaneously swung their swords at Yang Ocean. The four of them drew their swords as fast as lightning. Under the infusion of their divine power, the swords in their hands burst out with terrifying sword energy. The sword energy intertwined, like a huge sword net, covering the entire martial arts arena. In this martial arts arena, Yang Ocean had nowhere to hide. At the same time, the four of them all burst out with amazing sword intent. Under the urging of each person's sword intent, the sword net was even more indestructible. Even if it was a sacred mountain, I'm afraid that the four people's sword net could cut it into powder in an instant. 8 supreme sword intents. Feeling the sword intents of the four Kingsu gods, a sword god said in surprise. Each of the four Kingsu gods has cultivated 8 supreme sword intents. 9 sword intents can make a sword god. In other words, as long as each of the four Kingsu people comprehends one more sword intent, they will step into the threshold of sword gods and become sword gods. At the beginning, the demon heaven sword god of Kangshen continent comprehended 9 sword intents. If the four Kingsu people go one step further, they will become the existence of the demon heaven sword god. Seeing that each of the four Kingsu gods has comprehended the 8 supreme sword intentions, many sword gods are solemn. Some ancestors who have seen the power of the sword of the four Kingsu gods change their faces. This sword can be said to be the strongest sword move of the four Kingsu gods. The sword of the four Kingsu gods has slaughtered dozens of gods. Although the descendants of Huanquan Patriarch have the Hunio and Destiny divine body and the eternal divine body, they may not be able to take on the move of the four Kingsu gods. Many ancestors couldn't help but look at the Nanshan sword god in the Titan trolls. Will the Nanshan sword god in the Titan trolls help to save this descendant of the Huanquan Patriarch? Zaorang and the Fist Patriarch even locked onto the Nanshan sword god to prevent them from helping. At this moment, suddenly, a sword god saw Yang Ocean bursting out 9 color sword rays all over his body. This is the 9 colored sword heart. Seeing the changes in Yang Ocean, a sword god was surprised. Then, the 9 colored sword hearts in Yang Ocean's body awakened one by one. 1, 2, 3. Soon, 10 9 colored sword hearts awakened. Then, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. When the 15 9 colored sword hearts awakened, the 9 color sword rays shot out of the world, and Yang Ocean was like a 9 color sword wall, with endless sword energy spraying. 15 sword hearts. The millions of strong men who were still immersed in the 15 mixed destiny saw Yang Ocean's 15 9 color sword hearts at this time, and their hearts were shocked again. The eternal divine body, the mixed destiny divine body, and the 15 mixed destiny appeared in one person, which was shocking enough. And now, this descendant of the Yellow Spring Patriarch has even cultivated 15 9 color sword hearts. Is this still a human? Even a supreme sword god on the sword god list trembled. Zaorong, the Fist Ancestor, the Holy God Emperor, Kyanmu Sword God and others were all shocked. Having reached their level, how could they not know how difficult it is to comprehend the 15 sword hearts? Zaorang's comprehending the 15 supreme sword intents shocked the world, and Yang Ocean's comprehending the 15 9 colored sword hearts was not much less difficult than Zaorang's comprehending the 15 supreme sword intents. Because Zaorang only comprehended the supreme sword intents, not the strongest sword intents. And the sword hearts that Yang Ocean comprehended were all the strongest sword hearts. In the astonishment of everyone, Yang Ocean activated the power of the 15 sword hearts, waved his hands, and saw that the sword net that was originally attacking Yang Ocean actually gathered in front of Yang Ocean. Even the 4 gods of Kingsu could not control the sword ki when they activated the 8 supreme sword intents, and the swords in their hands flew up uncontrollably. Not only their swords, but also the swords of many masters of the Tangshan divine sect all flew up uncontrollably and gathered towards Yang Ocean. Even some of the ancestors of the divine realm of the Tangshan divine sect could not control their own swords. Only powerful beings like Zaorong, the Fist Ancestor, the Black and White Swords, and the Wanji Sword God could suppress his sword. This time, hundreds of thousands of masters from the Tangshan Divine Sect came, and hundreds of thousands of flying swords gathered around Yang Ocean. Sword Heart. Destroy the god. Yang Ocean shouted coldly, and the shout rang out from everyone's heart. Suddenly, hundreds of thousands of flying swords turned into a rain of swords, bursting out terrifying sword energy, and blasted towards the four gods of Kingsu. The four gods of Kingsu were shocked and panicked. They madly drew their swords, but they still couldn't stop these hundreds of thousands of flying swords, and were all hit by flying swords. When the four people fell to the ground, they saw that their bodies were full of various flying swords. Everyone was shocked. First, it was Liang Gang, who was at the peak of the 10th level of the Holy Realm, and then it was the disciple of the Fist Ancestor. Now even the four gods of Kingsu were defeated. Defeated by a descendant of the Huangquan Patriarch who was at the 2nd level of the Holy Realm. If it were in the past, no one would believe that a 2nd level Holy Realm could defeat a god. But now, all this happened in front of everyone. This descendant of Huangquan Patriarch broke all the impossibilities. Yang Ocean stood there, scanning the people of Tangshan Divine Sect and the millions of powerful people. Who else wants to make a move? Don't you all want my divine tree of destiny? Everyone below the 4th level of the divine spirit can come out and fight me. Yang Ocean's voice resounded throughout the martial arts arena. Everyone was shocked. Is this going to challenge everyone below the 4th level of the divine spirit? In other words, all the masters of the 1st, 2nd, and even 3rd levels of the divine spirit can make a move. This is too crazy. You should know that there are tens of thousands of masters of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd levels of the divine spirit realm at the scene, if not hundreds of thousands. A saint realm is actually going to challenge tens of thousands of divine spirits. Everyone is shocked just thinking about it. Regardless of the outcome of this battle, this descendant of Huangquan Patriarch will surely shock the world. At this time, 3 figures broke through the air and landed on the martial arts arena. Okay, let's learn your tricks. These 3 people are the ancestors of the Divine Emperor sect, all of whom are masters of the 3rd level of the Divine Spirit realm. One of them was the master of the son of the God Emperor who was just abolished by Yang Ocean. Then, several figures flew up through the air. Descendant of Huangquan Patriarch, we are here to learn your skills. The person who came was the ancestor of the Shenlong clan, who was also in the 3rd level of the divine realm. Several people landed, staring at Yang Ocean with bloodshot eyes. The cold dragon sword god died because of Yang Ocean, and they vowed to kill Yang Ocean. Afterwards, all the masters of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd levels of the divine realm of the Tangshan Divine Sect flew out and landed in front of Yang Ocean. The Phoenix Clan, the Sky Demon Clan, the Heavenly Sword Divine Sect, the Supreme Chen Family, the Fierce Demon Palace. One after another, the ancestors of the divine realm of the super forces flew up like rain and landed in the martial arts arena. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of masters of super forces landed in front of Yang Ocean. No more, no less. A total of 3,000 divine realm masters surrounded Yang Ocean. Seeing this scene, everyone gasped. A holy realm, fighting 3,000 gods alone. They will never forget it. Is there anyone else who wants to take action? Yang Ocean looked at the gods around him, his face calm, and said. Finally, no one came out. Take action. Seeing that no one came out, Yang Ocean's eyes fell on the 3,000 gods around him, revealing a bloodthirsty light. Chapter 581. If you don't die, you will become the god of Hangmeng. The Ghost King of Huangquan, the Sword God of Shaking the Sky, and the Old Man of Time all became worried when they saw that Yang Ocean was going to fight 3,000 gods alone. They knew Yang Ocean's strength. Although Yang Ocean's strength was terrifying, it was not enough to fight 3,000 gods alone. Boy, let's avenge Lord Hanlong today. The 3 gods of the Shenlong clan said hatefully, breaking through the air and attacking Yang Ocean first. Knowing that Yang Ocean had 15 sword hearts, everyone did not use swords. The 3 of them simultaneously displayed the strongest dragon fist of the Shenlong clan. Suddenly, the Shenlong roared to the world. Countless flying dragons of divine power bombarded Yang Ocean. Almost at the same time, all the masters of the Divine Emperor sect, the Phoenix clan, the Tangshan Divine sect, the Heavenly Sword Divine Gate, and the Fierce Demon Palace attacked Yangtze Ocean with terrifying power to destroy the world. Under such a vast power, even Yangtze Ocean, who activated the 15 mixed primordial destiny, the 15 9-color sword hearts, the eternal divine body and the mixed primordial destiny divine body, seemed so small. Everyone was extremely nervous. The Holy Emperor and Kyan-Mu Sword God also had their hearts in their throats. Seeing the overwhelming power of the masters of the Dragon Clan and Tangshan Divine Sect, Yangtze Ocean no longer hid his strength and used all his strength to activate the Divine Art of Destiny. Under the activation of the Divine Art of Destiny, the power of the Hunyuan Destiny God in the Eternal Divine Body was completely stimulated, and the endless Hunyuan power and time power roared out. Then, Yangtze Ocean activated the power of the Martial Soul. The two Supreme King Martial Souls of Zuanwu and Dark Golden Flame Dragon flew out. The 2,000,000-year soul rings of the Lord of the Abyss and Deep Sea Demon Kun also appeared. The world shook. The power of the 2,000,000-year soul beasts swept, and the overwhelming power of the 3,000 gods was actually stagnant. The 3 gods of the Dragon Clan, who were the first to bear the brunt, were almost suffocated by the power of the 2,000,000-year soul beasts. Seeing the beast shadow of the Lord of the Abyss, the Deep Sea Demon Kun, which was as huge as the Kunlun Divine Mountain, everyone was horrified, and many sect disciples even fell to the ground in fear. 2 Supreme King Martial Spirits, 2,000,000-year soul rings. This. Zaoran was also frightened, and his face changed drastically. The Fist Ancestor, the Black and White Swords, the Holy God Emperor, the Thousand-Leaf Sword God, and all the strong men were shocked. It turned out to be 2,000,000-year soul rings. Another miracle, one miracle after another, one after another. The souls of the ancestors of the sects trembled. How many miracles does this descendant of the Yellow Spring Patriarch have? Then, 2 divine golden pills flew out. 2 golden pills like golden suns hung high in the sky, with golden light surging. Looking at the 2 divine golden pills, everyone was shocked again. 15 mixed origin fate, 15 9-color sword heart, eternal divine body, mixed origin fate divine body, 2 supreme king martial spirits, 2,000,000-year soul rings, 2 divine golden pills. Are there more miracles? As if confirming everyone's conjecture, Yangtze Ocean activated the Hangmeng Holy Fruit of the Sea of God. Suddenly, 2 Hangmeng forces surged out from Yangtze Ocean. When the Hangmeng power surged out, 2 purple gold Hangmeng Holy Fruits condensed behind Yangtze Ocean. Moreover, as Yangtze Ocean continued to urge, these 2 purple gold Hangmeng Holy Fruits suddenly swelled and became the size of 2 giant mountains. The 2 Hangmeng Holy Fruits as big as giant mountains kept spinning, rolling up the terrifying purple gold Hangmeng airflow. Everyone saw that, when the purple gold Hangmeng airflow passed, the 3,000 gods destruction power turned into nothingness and disappeared. The power of the 2,000,000-year soul beasts could only stagnate the 3,000 gods destruction power, but could not stop the 3,000 gods destruction power. But now, the 3,000 gods destruction power has turned into nothingness and disappeared without a trace. The divine power of the 3,000 gods seemed to have encountered a terrifying nemesis and was swallowed up. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. The second level of the holy realm, he actually cultivated a holy fruit. What kind of holy fruit is this? The Taichu holy fruit is green. How could his holy fruit be purple gold? How could it be so huge? The power of the 3,000 gods was actually swallowed up. Everyone looked in disbelief. The Ghost King Huanquan and the Heaven-Shaking Sword God were also stunned when they saw the purple gold holy fruit. They didn't expect that their sect master would cultivate a holy fruit just after breaking through the holy realm, and it was an unprecedented holy fruit. Purple gold. This is the Hangmeng holy power. This is the Hangmeng holy fruit. The Heaven-Shaking Sword God thought of a sentence the ancestors said, and trembled. What? Hangmeng holy fruit? Could it be that there really is Hangmeng above Taichu? The beginning of heaven and earth was Taichu, and before Taichu was Hangmeng. It turned out to be the Hangmeng holy power. If this boy doesn't die, he will definitely be the god of Hangmeng in the future. The strongest ancestor of a super empire trembled. The god of Hangmeng. Everyone took a breath. According to ancient books, the master of heaven and earth once said that, if the god of Hangmeng did not come out, he would be invincible. What does this mean? This means that even the ruler of heaven and earth admits that he is no match for the god of Hangmeng. God of Hangmeng. Zhao Rong's eyes burst with terrifying murderous intent. Before, even if he knew that Yang Xiaoshan had cultivated 2 divine golds and 3 mixed destiny, he did not have such a strong murderous intent. But now, his murderous intent was overwhelming. No matter what, today, the descendant of Huangquan Patriarch must die. If the old man of time stops him, he will die. Whoever dares to stop him must die. Just when Zhao Rong was full of murderous intent, Yang Xiaoshan's Hangmeng Holy Fruit, Mixed Destiny, Soul Ring, Eternal Divine Body, and Mixed Destiny Divine Body were all activated, and his fists blasted out. The Hangmeng Holy Power, Mixed Power, the power of the 2 million-year soul beasts, and the power of time, surged around the world like a tidal wave. Feeling the terrifying power of Yang Xiaoshan's fists, the faces of the 3,000 gods who had originally attacked and killed changed. Kill. The 3 gods of the Shenlong clan roared in shock and anger, and blasted out with their fists again. All the masters of the Phoenix clan, the Sky Demon clan, and the Heavenly Sword Divine sect attacked frantically again. Everyone had a ferocious look on their faces. So what if it's the god of Hangmeng? Even if it's the god of Hangmeng, we 3,000 gods can kill it with one heart. An old ancestor of the Tangshan divine sect shouted even more fiercely. Boom. The power of Yang Xiaoshan's fists and the power of the 3,000 gods kept bombarding each other. There were constant earth-shaking noises. As before, when the power of Yang Xiaoshan's fists collided with the power of the 3,000 gods, the power of the 3,000 gods was like entering the sea of Hangmeng, being constantly swallowed and disappearing. The 3,000 gods looked at this scene in disbelief. They tried their best, and the power of the 3,000 gods gathered, but they couldn't suppress the Hangmeng Holy Power. This is just the Hangmeng Holy Power. If the descendant of the Huangquan Patriarch breaks through the realm of the gods, and the Hangmeng Holy Power evolves into the Hangmeng Divine Power, then who in this world will still be his opponent? At that time, no one will be his opponent. Looking at the roaring Hangmeng Holy Power and the power of the Hunyuan time, the 3,000 gods were finally afraid. Retreat. The 3 gods of the Dragon Clan, who were the first to bear the brunt of the attack, shouted and fled backwards frantically. Chapter 582 Zhao Rong takes action. But the Hangmeng Holy Power instantly submerged the 3 great gods of the Shenlong clan. Then came the Phoenix clan, the Sky Demon clan, the Heavenly Sword Divine sect, and the Supreme Chen family. 3,000 gods were constantly submerged. One after another, the gods were blown away by the Hangmeng Holy Power and the Hunyuan time. Previously, the 3,000 gods fell on the martial arts field like rain, besieging and killing Yang Xiaoshan, but now, the 3,000 gods fell on the martial arts field like locusts. The martial arts field was constantly shaking. Bang 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 bang. A regular and dense sound resounded in the ears of hundreds of millions of strong men. When the strong men of the Shenlong clan, the Phoenix clan, and the Sky Demon clan fell to the ground, everyone looked and saw that the gods who were hit were all aging at a speed visible to the naked eye. The whole person seemed to be eroded by the power of time. All the vitality and blood in the body. Defeated. Among the 3,000 gods, no one could resist Yang Xiaoshan's power. Except for some gods who escaped at the 3rd level, the rest were all injured by the Hangmeng Holy Power and the Hunyuan time power. Yang Xiaoshan scanned the crowd coldly. In fact, although the number of the 3,000 gods was large, they came from various major families and sects. They were just a mob, and their strength was not gathered together, but scattered in all directions. That was why they could not resist his Hangmeng Holy Power and Hunyuan time. Otherwise, it would not be easy for him to defeat them. The scene was silent. Billions of strong men looked at the scene in front of them, shocked. Even the 3,000 gods were defeated. Who else below the 4th level of the gods could be the opponent of the descendant of the Huangquan Patriarch? Just when everyone was silent, suddenly, a sword god flew down from the throne and landed in front of Yang Xiaoshan. Seeing the person coming out, everyone was stunned. White Bone Sword God. The one who came out was the White Bone Sword God. The master of the White Bone Sword God was from the Huangquan Demon sect. In theory, the White Bone Sword God was also from the Huangquan Demon sect. Could it be that the white bone sword god was going to attack the descendant of the Huanquan patriarch? The bone sword god looked at Yang Zai Ocean in front of him, raised the bone magic sword in his hand, and uttered a whimpering sound. Boy, you are cruel by nature, killing innocent people indiscriminately, and harming the Wanjian continent. Today, I, the bone sword god, will eliminate the harm for the Wanjian continent. Hearing that the bone sword god was really going to kill Yang Zai Ocean, the leader of the Huanquan demon sect, everyone's faces were colorful. Zhao Rong sneered. In fact, the bone sword god had already joined him. It's just that it is not known to the outside world yet. Die. The bone sword god suddenly swung a sword and killed Yang Zai Ocean in an instant. The bone sword god had already entered the 10th level of the divine spirit many years ago. His strength was so strong that it was not comparable to those 3000 gods of the 3rd and 2nd levels of the divine spirit. Everyone's heart was tense. Even if Yang Zai Ocean was strong, a 2nd level saint realm could never be the opponent of the bone sword god. Seeing that the white bone sword god was about to be shredded by Yang Zai Ocean's sword energy, suddenly, a voice rang out, as if from the 9 nether hell, those who betray their teachers and ancestors, die. A huge ghost palm fell from the void. The power and speed of the ghost palm were beyond everyone's imagination. The white bone sword god just raised his head in shock, and the ghost palm had already hit the sky above his head. The face of the white bone sword god changed drastically. He didn't care about Yang Zai Ocean. He swung the white bone sword in his hand upwards frantically, and countless white bone sword energy soared into the sky. In the white bone sword energy, a white bone giant flew out. The strength of the white bone sword energy shocked many sword masters. As the 49th existence on the sword god list, the white bone sword god has reached an astonishing level in his swordsmanship. Many superpower masters present believed that they could hardly take this sword. However, this white bone sword energy that was enough to destroy a sacred mountain was instantly blown up by the ghost palm in the sky. In front of this ghost palm, the white bone sword energy seemed to be a pile of rotten bones that could not withstand a single blow. Bang! The white bone sword energy and the white bone sword god himself were directly slapped into the ground by the huge ghost palm. The ground was shaking constantly, and the terrifying airwaves were rolling. Even the many sword gods who were sitting there were blown away, as if they were about to fly away. Everyone looked over and saw that the white bone sword god himself had been turned into a ball of flesh. The surrounding ground was already stained red by the blood of the white bone sword god. Seeing this, everyone's heart was shocked and horrified. The dignified founder of the White Bone Demon Palace was actually killed by a palm like this? This was the existence ranked 49th on the sword god list. Many people looked at the Yellow Spring Ghost King. It was this old man who was so sick that he seemed to be dying at any time who killed the existence ranked 49th on the sword god list with a palm. He is the old monster who killed the cold dragon sword god. An old ancestor suddenly exclaimed. Everyone's face changed drastically. Many people have heard that the cold dragon sword god had his soul sucked out, and then his soul was roasted into ashes. In the surprise of the crowd, the ghost king of Huanquan and the sword god of shaking the sky flew behind Yang Zai Ocean. The old man of time, the sword god of the south sky, and the titan troll also came behind Yang Zai Ocean. Did the sword god of the south sky and the titan troll all serve the descendant of the Huanquan patriarch? Many ancestors looked at each other in bewilderment. However, the old man of time had been imprisoned on the Death Island for 100,000 years, and had not been born for 100,000 years, so few people recognized the old man of time. It's the old man of time. Finally, an extremely ancient old monster spoke. What? He is the disciple of the goddess of destiny, the old man of time. Many people were moved, and their eyes fell on the old man of time. The goddess of destiny has an extremely high status in the Wanjian continent. As the goddess of destiny, the old man of time's status is naturally not low. Did the old man of time also serve the descendant of the Huanquan patriarch? An empire ancestor was surprised. Many people couldn't understand why the old man of time, with his status, would serve the descendant of the Huanquan patriarch. However, although some people recognized the old man of time, no one knew the ghost king of Yellow Springs and the sword god of heaven. Even Zhao Rong, the fist ancestor, and the black and white swords could not see the foundation of the ghost king of Yellow Springs and the sword god of heaven. When the Ghost King of Yellow Springs attacked just now, he did not use the Yellow Spring Purgatory Palm, but just an ordinary Ghost Palm. Even so, an ordinary Ghost Palm can kill the White Bone Sword God with one palm. When reaching the realm of the Ghost King of Yellow Springs, any palm, fist, or finger is not something that the White Bone Sword God and the Cold Dragon Sword God can withstand. When the people who were about to attack saw the fate of the White Bone Sword God and the Old Man of Time, they all stopped. The scene was silent again. At this time, suddenly, a figure flashed, and Zhao Rong flew down from the number 2 throne, and came in front of Yang Ocean, followed by the Fist Ancestor, the Black and White Swords, the 10,000 Tribulation Sword God, and the 4C Sword God all flew out. For a time, hundreds of thousands of masters of the Tangshan Divine Sect gathered behind Zhao Rong. It's finally coming. Just now, everyone had been guessing when Zhao Rong would attack. Now Zhao Rong finally couldn't hold back, and was about to make a move. Afterwards, one by one, the ancestors of the sects led their people to fly down, and landed behind Zhao Rong. These were all masters and sects who had joined Zhao Rong. For a moment, dozens of super sects gathered behind Zhao Rong. Millions of people, and all of them were masters. And Yang Ocean's side, including Yang Ocean, only had 6 people. Zhao Rong glanced at the Southern Sky Sword God, the Titan Troll, and the Old Man of Time behind Yang Ocean, and said calmly, "You don't have to be buried with the descendants of Huanquan Patriarch. I'll give you a chance. If you retreat now, you can survive." Chapter 583. Why? Everyone's eyes fell on the Sword God of the South Sky and the Titan Trolls, wanting to see how they would choose. Would they choose to retreat, or choose to be buried with the descendants of the Yellow Spring Patriarch? Although the strength of the Old Man of Time and the others was strong, no matter how strong they were, they could not stop Zhao Rong's millions of masters. What's more, Zhao Rong was the number 1 master in the Wanjian continent. Upon hearing this, the Titan Troll looked at Zhao Rong without any fear, but said, "Zhao Rong, don't you want to know who killed the Sun and Moon Saint King, the Hanging Sword God, and the Galaxy Sword God?" Everyone was shocked when they heard this. A few days ago, the news that the Sun and Moon Saint King, the Hanging Sword God, and the Galaxy Sword God were missing had spread, and everyone speculated whether the hundreds of people of the Sun and Moon Saint King were killed. Now listening to the tone of the Titan Troll, hundreds of people of the Sun and Moon Saint King were indeed dead. The Sun and Moon Saint King was Zhao Rong's right-hand man, and was deeply trusted by Zhao Rong. The killing of the Sun and Moon Saint King was more shocking than the killing of the Cold Dragon Sword God and the White Bone Sword God. "I killed the Sun and Moon Saint King, the Hanging Sword God, the Galaxy Sword God, the Abasi Demon King, and the Ksatagarbha Buddha." The Yellow Spring Ghost King looked at the Tangshan sect and showed a ghostly smile, which made all the Tangshan sect members shudder. When Zhao Rong heard this, his sword energy surged to the sky, and his eyes were full of murderous intent. He stared at Yang Ocean and the Yellow Spring Ghost King. "Today, the 6 of you will die without a burial place. I will make you live a life worse than death." Suddenly, a series of sword energy appeared out of thin air and shot towards Yang Ocean and his friends. But a sword energy barrier suddenly appeared in front of Yang Ocean and his friends, blocking Zhao Rong's sword energy. Everyone was surprised. Although Zhao Rong just casually fired a sword, it was also extraordinary to be able to block Zhao Rong's casual sword. Who did it? Everyone couldn't help but look at the Old Man of Time, the Yellow Spring Ghost King, and the Heaven-Shaking Sword God. Zhao Rong was also surprised. Yang Ocean looked at Zhao Rong with a calm face. "Zhao Rong, do you really think there are only 6 of us?" Zhao Rong was startled, then laughed, and scanned the millions of powerful people. "Who is willing to be buried with a descendant of Huanquan Patriarch? Come out. I will kill them all." Just when everyone thought that no one would respond, suddenly, a voice rang out from the crowd. I saw an old man in colorful clothes breaking through the air and landing on the martial arts field. Many people did not recognize this colorful old man, but many powerful medicine gods were shocked. Senior Wuxin Medicine God. What? Senior Wuxin Medicine God. A stone stirred up 1,000 waves, and everyone was shocked when they heard it. Although the Old Man of Time has a respected status, he is an old man from a lonely family. But Wuxin Medicine God is different. If he raises his arms and calls, He will definitely be followed by many powerful medicine masters in Wanjian continent. Sure enough, as Wuxin medicine god flew out, one after another figure broke through the air from the crowd and landed behind Wuxin medicine god. There were actually hundreds of thousands of people. Among them was Chenning, the master of the pharmacist hall, and many old ancestors of the pharmacist hall. Seeing this, the faces of the people in Tangshan divine sect darkened. Zi Wuxin came to Yang Xiaoshan and said respectfully, "Young master, I'm late." Yang Xiaoshan shook his hand and smiled. "Not late, senior, you are just in time." Zhao Rong looked at Zi Wuxin and led hundreds of thousands of powerful pharmacists to appear. His face was gloomy, and he sneered. "Very good, in this case, I will destroy your pharmacist hall today." Then, he glanced at the millions of powerful people. "Is there anyone who wants to die? Come out." Me. Just when everyone thought that no more masters would come out, suddenly, a voice sounded, and the sword god of apocalypse stood up from the number 4 sword god throne, and then flew to Yang Xiaoshan. Then, a large group of masters flew out from the crowd, and stood behind the sword god of apocalypse. This large group of masters were the masters of Zengai sect, and there were also hundreds of thousands of people. Everyone was shocked. The sword god of apocalypse and the Zengai sect have also joined the descendants of Huangquan patriarch? How is this possible? Many ancestors looked incredulous. The sword god of apocalypse is the 4th ranked supreme sword god on the sword god list. And the Zengai sect is a super sect second only to the Tangshan sect in the Wanjian continent. When the Tangshan sect and the masters behind the Tangshan sect saw the sword god of apocalypse and the Zengai sect appear, their faces changed again. But, very good. Zhao Rong saw the sword god of apocalypse and the masters of the Zengai sect come out, and smiled coldly. "Today, I will destroy the Zengai sect together." He wanted to unify the Wanjian continent, and the Zengai sect was the biggest obstacle. He originally planned to fight the Kunlun sword contest. After winning the first sword god, he would attack the Zengai sect. He looked around. Who else wants to come out and die? The strong men from all sides also looked at everyone, wanting to know who else would stand up. At this time, Qianmu sword god stood up from the number 10 sword god throne, led tens of thousands of Mu family masters to fly in front of Yang Xiaoshan, and said with a fist, "We Mu family are here to help you." "Thank you, senior." Yang Xiaoshan said with a fist. Everyone was surprised to see that the Mu family also came out to help Yang Xiaoshan. The Mu family is one of the oldest families in the Supreme Empire. It is so powerful that it can definitely be ranked in the top 10 among the billions of families in the Wanjian continent. Very good. Zhao Rong saw Qianmu sword god leading the Mu family to help Yang Xiaoshan, and his eyes were full of murderous intent. From today on, there will be no Mu family in the Wanjian continent. He almost suppressed his endless anger and murderous intent, and said again, "Is there anyone else who wants to die? Get out of here." Then, he saw the holy god emperor fly down from the sword god throne, and came to Yang Xiaoshan. "We supreme emperor's house are here to help you." As the holy god emperor came out, countless masters of the supreme emperor's house swarmed out, and there were more than 1 million people. Among them, many were family ancestors and ancient masters who had joined the supreme emperor's family. When everyone saw that even the Holy Emperor led a group of masters from the Supreme Emperor's family to help Yang Xiaoshan, they all took a breath. The Supreme Empire is the first empire in the Wanjian continent. There is no doubt that the Supreme Emperor's family is stronger than the Zengai sect. Originally, everyone thought that the descendants of Huangquan Patriarch would die, but now seeing the masters gathered around Yang Xiaoshan, they were all shocked. Yang Xiaoshan was surrounded by masters from the Pharmacist General Hall, the Zengai sect, the Mu family, and the Supreme Emperor's family. Each of them is one of the most powerful forces in the Wanjian continent. The masters of the 4 superpowers together have millions of people. Whether it is the number of people or the strong ones, they are no weaker than the Tangshan divine sect. Originally, Zhao Rong, who had already won, saw the Supreme Emperor's family come out, and his face finally changed. He clenched his fists and stared at Yang Xiaoshan. He really couldn't imagine that even the Holy Emperor was willing to work for the descendant of Huangquan Patriarch. Why? Chapter 584 Kill. Kunlun Mountain was completely silent. Everyone held their breath, their eyes on Zhao Rong. Zhao Rong's eyes fell on the Holy Emperor. He took a deep breath and said, "My Lord Emperor, are you really willing to let countless masters of the Supreme Imperial Household die in Kunlun Mountain for the sake of a descendant of Huangquan Patriarch?" The Holy Emperor said in a deep voice, "Even if we die in battle, we are willing. Even if we die in battle, we are willing." The words of the Holy Emperor shocked everyone. Zhao Rong glanced at the Holy Emperor, Qianmu Sword God, Qianqi Sword God, Wuxin, and suddenly laughed. His eyes fell on Yang Ocean. "Boy, do you think that these people can compete with my Tangshan divine sect? Today, no matter how many people there are, they can't save you. You must die." After Zhao Rong finished speaking, he suddenly urged the 15 Supreme Sword Intentions and suddenly swung a sword at Yang Ocean. 15 Supreme Sword Intentions burst out, and the sword energy was extremely strong and invincible. The power of this sword made all the sword gods on the scene change their faces, even the sword god of Qianqi and the emperor of the holy god. This sword was too fast. The sword god of Qianqi, the emperor of the holy god and others attacked instantly, but they were still half a step slower. Just half a step was enough to make Yang Ocean's head fall to the ground. Even if Yang Ocean had an eternal divine body and a mixed primordial divine body, he would die if he was hit by this sword. Zhao Rong's face showed a ferocious look. If this kid died, he would see who the emperor of the holy god, Qianmu Sword God, Wuxin and others would work for. Death. Just when Zhao Rong thought that Yang Ocean would die under his sword, suddenly, a sword energy shot out from Yang Ocean's side. The strength of the sword energy was not weaker than Zhao Rong's sword that activated the 15 great sword intentions. The two sword energies collided with each other. There was a bang. The power of the heavy sword energy splashed. The ground and the surrounding mountains were shaken by the sword energy. Everyone was shocked to see that Zhao Rong's sword, which combined the power of 15 sword intents, was blocked by someone. They looked at the heaven-shaking sword god beside Yang Ocean. Even Zhao Rong was shocked and couldn't believe it. He didn't expect that his extremely powerful sword would be blocked by someone. And it was the thin middle-aged man behind the descendant of Huangquan Patriarch. 15 Supreme Sword Intents. Zhao Rong looked at the heaven-shaking sword god and said in disbelief, "You have also cultivated 15 Supreme Sword Intents. How is this possible? In the past million years of Wanjian continent, except for Lord Han Feng and me, no one has cultivated 15 sword intents. Who are you? What? 15 sword intents? This middle-aged man has also cultivated 15 supreme sword intents." When Zhao Rong said this, hundreds of millions of strong men were shocked. Who is he? All the sword gods were greatly shocked. There was such a peerless strong man beside the descendant of Huangquan Patriarch. The heaven-shaking sword god looked at Zhao Rong, but his face was calm. Just because there hasn't been one in a million years, doesn't mean there wasn't one a million years ago. A million years ago. Everyone was shocked. What this middle-aged man meant was that he had already comprehended the 15 supreme sword intentions a million years ago. Ancient god. He is an ancient god. Many ancestors stuttered. Ancient god. Everyone was shocked. Ancient god. So what? Zhao Rong suddenly looked ferocious. "You live a long time, but it doesn't mean you are strong. Today, I will slaughter you, the ancient god." After Zhao Rong finished speaking, a magic sword appeared in his hand. Killing magic sword. Seeing the sword in Zhao Rong's hand, a sword god ancestor exclaimed. Killing magic sword is a magic sword created by the ancient Killing clan with countless efforts. This magic sword condenses the divine power of 100 peerless masters of the ancient Killing clan, and its power is unparalleled. Die. Zhao Rong's great perfection destiny art was activated, instantly urging the power of the Killing sword seal, and he struck Yang Ocean with a sword, the heaven-shaking sword god. Under Zhao Rong's divine power, the infinite sword energy of the Killing sword erupted, and 100 Killing shadows flew out of the air. This sword contains Zhao Rong's 15 supreme sword intentions and the power of destiny of the great perfection destiny art. The power was more than several times stronger than before. At the moment, when Zhao Rong drew his sword, the heaven-shaking sword god also made a move. He had an extra sword in his hand. This sword was not the heaven-shaking sword, but his other sword. This sword was black all over, and inside the sword, it seemed to seal a terrifying existence, which made people shudder. When this sword was summoned, everyone felt a chill. This is the Black Demon Sword. An extremely ancient being recognized the sword and his face changed drastically. It's the heaven-shaking sword god. He is the heaven-shaking sword god. He is the heaven-shaking sword god. Both the black and white swords and the fist ancestor were horrified. Even Zaoran was shocked. While everyone was shocked, the Black Demon Sword and the Kirin Sword collided with each other. Clang! The sky and the earth suddenly flickered. The terrifying sword energy swept across. Everyone was shocked and retreated. Only the heaven-shaking sword god and Zaoran were left standing at the scene. Zaoran felt that his right sword arm was painful from the shock. He looked at the heaven-shaking sword god in shock and anger. He never thought that this middle-aged man was actually the heaven-shaking sword god, one of the two peerless masters of the Yellow Spring Demon sect. Suddenly, he flashed and stabbed out with his sword again. This time, he did not attack the heaven-shaking sword god, but killed Yang Xiaoshan again. Just as Zaoran was about to stab Yang Xiaoshan, the Yellow Spring Ghost King moved, and his voice seemed to float out from the hell of evil spirits. Yellow Spring Purgatory Palm. An extremely huge ghost palm broke through the air, and hundreds of millions of evil spirits screamed and slammed into Zaoran. Yellow Spring Ghost King. Zaoran was shocked when he saw the Yellow Spring Purgatory Palm. He finally knew who this old man who was sick and dying at any time was. He quickly swung the killing god in his hand and violently shot out a lot of sword energy, which collided with the Yellow Spring Purgatory Palm. There was a loud noise. Zaoran was forced to retreat. Everyone looked at the Yellow Spring Ghost King and gasped again. The Yellow Spring Ghost King. The heaven-shaking sword god. The two terrifying and invincible ancient beings of the Yellow Spring Demon sect are still alive. Even the hands holding the black and white swords trembled. Zaoran had a magic sword in his other hand. He looked at the Ghost King of Yellow Springs and the Sword God of Shaking the Sky coldly. So what about the Ghost King of Yellow Springs and the Sword God of Shaking the Sky? Since you were not dead in ancient times, today I, the Tangshan Divine Sect, will kill these two great demons of yours to offer sacrifice to the Kunlun Divine Mountain. Then he roared, the remnant of the Yellow Springs Demon Sect must be killed by everyone. If these two great demons are not eliminated today, the Wanjian continent will be doomed. I also ask all the major empires, major families, and major sects to join me in killing the Ghost King of Yellow Springs and the Sword God of Shaking the Sky. Millions of powerful people could not help but feel a strong commotion. Upon hearing this, many empires and many super sects ancestors locked onto the Ghost King of Yellow Springs and the Sword God of Shaking the Sky. Kill. Zaoran said, and his two swords killed Yang Xiaoshan. Kill. Suddenly, the killing sound shook the sky. The Fist Ancestor, the Black and White Swords, the Wanji Sword God, and countless Tangshan Divine Sect Masters killed Yang Xiaoshan. Chapter 585 I'm the leader of Tangshan Sect. Kill. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the Tangshan Divine Sect Masters who were rushing over and said coldly. The Yellow Spring Ghost King immediately summoned the Eternal Heaven Coffin and slapped it out. Under the infusion of the power of the 10,000 ghosts, the Eternal Heaven Coffin burst out with amazing evil power. Countless masters who served under Zaoran were blown away by the Eternal Heaven Coffin. The Black Demon Sword in the hands of the Heaven-Shaking Sword God faced Zaoran. The Old Man of Time, the Holy God Emperor, and the Thousand-Wood Sword God all took action. Yang Xiaoshan used all his strength to activate the power of the Eternal Divine Body and the Hunyuan Destiny Divine Body. The time and Hunyuan power in his body surged wildly, turning into a Hunyuan time sea. The first magic sword began to fly out of his body. Suddenly, the Buddha's light burst out. It was the Thousand Buddha Sword, or Thousand Buddha Bodies illuminated the layers of time and space. Thousand Buddha Sword. The black and white swords were surprised. Everyone couldn't help but look at it sideways. No one thought that Yang Xiaoshan actually subdued the Buddhist treasure, the Thousand Buddha Sword. Then, the lightning flashed brightly, thunder roared loudly in the sky, and the second magic sword flew out. Ancient Thunder God Sword. Everyone was shocked. The power of the Ancient Thunder God Sword was not weaker than the Thousand Buddha Sword. Then, it was the Sword of Eternal Night, the Sword of Samsara, the Sword of All Things, and the Sword of Divine Shadow. The 6 magic swords stood behind Yang Ocean like a peacock spreading its tail, blooming with heavy sword energy. 6 magic swords. Countless strong men were shocked. And these were 6 magic swords that had survived the divine tribulation. Although some magic swords were also called magic swords, they had not survived the divine tribulation. Without surviving the divine tribulation, they could only be regarded as quasi-magic swords. And Yang Ocean's 6 swords had all survived the divine tribulation. Even Zaorang was shocked. This descendant of Huangquan Patriarch actually subdued so many magic swords. Just when everyone was shocked by Yang Ocean's 6 magic swords, suddenly, Yang Ocean had another magic sword in his right hand. When everyone saw the magic sword in Yang Ocean's right hand, they were all shocked. They couldn't believe it, and thought they had seen it wrong. The sword of Kangshan. This is the sword of Kangshan. The sword god ancestors screamed one by one. The sword of Kangshan. The supreme sword of Kangshan continent. Whether it was Zaorang, the fist ancestor, or the black and white swords, all the masters of Tangshan divine sect changed their faces. This descendant of Huangquan Patriarch got the sword of Kangshan. So what? The Lord of Kangshan. He is the new Lord of Kangshan continent. An ancestor who served under Zaorang said with trembling hands. The new Lord of Kangshan continent. Billions of powerful people took a breath of cold air. Everyone knows what the new Lord of Kangshan continent means. It means the entire Kangshan mansion. It means the entire Kangshan continent. Who can bear the responsibility of killing the new Lord of Kangshan continent? If one fails, it will trigger a bloody battle between the 2 continents. Besides, Tangshan divine sect has not yet unified Wanjian continent. What will be triggered is a bloody battle between Kangshan continent and Tangshan divine sect. Even many powerful men who were about to attack Huangquan Ghost King and Heaven Shaking Sword God with their auras locked on them stopped in fear. Just when everyone was trembling for the Kangshan sword in Yang Ocean's right hand, suddenly, Yang Ocean had another magic sword in his left hand. When the magic sword in Yang Ocean's left hand appeared, the world was silent. Everyone stared at the magic sword in Yang Ocean's left hand. Tangshan magic sword. An old ancestor of Tangshan divine sect said with difficulty. Tangshan magic sword. Many Tangshan divine sect masters who were about to attack Yang Ocean were so scared that their legs went weak and they almost knelt down. Tangshan divine sect master. Millions of powerful men looked at Yang Ocean. The descendant of Huangquan Patriarch that Zaorang wanted to kill turned out to be the leader of Tangshan divine sect. All along, the descendant of Huangquan Patriarch, who Zaorang, the acting leader, had offered a bounty for, was their real leader. Everyone's face was full of emotions. Tangshan divine sect had been shouting to kill their leader. Even the Holy God Emperor and Qian Mu Sword God were surprised. They also didn't expect that Yang Ocean was not only the new master of Kangshan continent, but also the leader of Tangshan divine religion. Zaorang's face was as ugly as it could be. The Tangshan divine sword that he had been looking for was actually in the hands of the descendant of Huangquan Patriarch. Seeing your leader, why don't you kneel down? Suddenly, the Titan troll opened his mouth and scolded the people of Tangshan divine religion. The faces of the people of Tangshan divine religion changed. The fist ancestor also hesitated for a while. At this moment, suddenly, Zaorang's 2 swords came out at the same time, and he instantly killed in front of Yang Ocean. Die. His eyes were bloodshot, and there was only murderous intent in his eyes. Kill. There were many dead warriors trained by Zaorang in Tangshan divine religion, and they all killed Yang Ocean. Huangquan Ghost King saw this. His eyes were cold, persist in enlightenment. Death is not a pity. At this point, the eternal heaven coffin turned into an amazing stream of light and blasted towards those dead warriors. And the heaven shaking sword god blocked Zaorang's 2 swords. I'm the leader of the Tangshan divine religion. All disciples of the Tangshan divine religion, listen to my orders and kill. Zaorang roared with a ferocious face and kept killing Yang Ocean frantically. But no matter how he attacked, no matter how powerful his sword was, the heaven-shaking sword god blocked it one by one. Yang Ocean and the masters of the old man of time killed Zaorang's dead men. As for the fifth ancestor, the Wanji sword god, the 4C sword god and other masters of the Tangshan divine religion, they did not dare to make a move in the end. They were not only concerned about the Tangshan divine sword in Yang Xiaoshen's hand, but also concerned about Yang Xiaoshen's identity as the lord of the Kang god. In the end, all the tens of thousands of dead men trained by Zhao Rong were killed by everyone. Zhao Rong saw that the tens of thousands of dead men he had worked so hard to train were killed, and his heart was bleeding, but he also knew that the general situation was over. At this moment, it was impossible for him to kill Yang Xiaoshen again. While the Yellow Spring Ghost King had not yet killed him, he used all his strength to force the heaven-shaking sword god back. His figure flashed and turned into a sword light, disappearing directly into the sky. Boy, within 10 years, I will break through the realm of the gods and come back to take your head. Zhao Rong's cold voice came from the sky. I forgot to tell you that your senior brother King Lian sword god is in my hands. I will make him live a life worse than death. At this time, heaven-shaking sword god and Yellow Spring Ghost King chased after him at the same time. But after a while, the two turned back and shook their heads at Yang Xiaoshen. Obviously they did not catch up with Zhao Rong. Although Zhao Rong has not yet broken through the realm of the gods, he is already a half-step god. If he wants to leave, heaven-shaking sword god and the two can't stop him at all. Knowing that his senior brother King Lian sword god is in the hands of the other party, Yang Xiaoshen's heart sank. No wonder he has not heard from his senior brother since he came to the Wanjian continent. We meet the leader. At this time, the fifth ancestor, the Wanji sword god, the 4C sword god and other masters of the Tangshan divine sect bowed to Yang Xiaoshen. Yang Xiaoshen glanced at the fifth ancestor and others with cold eyes. The fifth ancestor and others looked embarrassed. Pass the order down, offer a reward of 1 trillion low-grade spirit stones, and do everything you can to capture Zhao Rong. Yang Xiaoshen said coldly, 1 trillion low-grade spirit stones, capture Zhao Rong. When the hundreds of millions of strong men heard this, they all trembled. No matter who they were shocked by this trillion low-grade spirit stones. Chapter 586, Zhongshan Continent Heavenly Family. Previously, Zhao Rong offered a reward of 20 billion to capture Yang Xiaoshen. This had already caused many forces in Wanjian continent to spare no effort to search for Yang Xiaoshen, let alone 1 trillion. As soon as 1 trillion was offered, one after another super sect ancestors soared into the sky and shouted, all disciples, listen to my order, search for Zhao Rong with all your strength. Even many empire emperors stood up and ordered, seal all exits from Wanjian continent. Search for Zhao Rong. Even some sword gods on the throne broke through the air and ordered the capture of Zhao Rong. For a while, almost half of the super sects in Wanjian continent were ordering the search and capture of Zhao Rong. Quan Zu and others had complicated feelings. Half a day ago, Zhao Rong was still the acting leader of Tangshan divine sect. How respected was his status? Who would have thought that half a day later, Zhao Rong would be wanted by Wanjian continent with all his strength? As one super sect ancestor after another and the empire emperor left, the number of people on the scene became sparse. Apocalypse sword god, holy god emperor, Kyanmu sword god and others looked at the sparsely populated scene and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Now that most people have left, how can the Kunlun sword contest be held? Finally, Apocalypse sword god, holy god emperor, Kyanmu sword god and other supreme sword gods unanimously agreed that the Kunlun sword contest would be held again 1 year later. The strong men from all sides dispersed. Yang Xiaoshen looked at the top of Kunlun mountain in surprise. When he killed 3,000 gods and used all his strength to activate the time power of the eternal body, he sensed that there was a certain power echoing at the top of Kunlun mountain. Could it be that some legends about Kunlun mountain are true? Kunlun mountain is something left by the master of heaven and earth. Huangquan Ghost King, Hanshan sword god and others saw Yang Xiaoshen looking at the top of Kunlun mountain, and they couldn't help but look at the top of Kunlun mountain in confusion. Do you know Kunlun mountain? Do you know what is on the top of Kunlun mountain? Yang Xiaoshen suddenly asked. Huangquan Ghost King and others were stunned. No one can climb to the top of Kunlun mountain. Heaven-shaking sword god shook his head and said, so, no one knows what is on the top of Kunlun mountain. The ancestor also tried to climb to the top of Kunlun Mountain, but was forced to stop when he was still 10,000 feet away from the top of Kunlun Mountain, because the forbidden power on the top of Kunlun Mountain was too terrifying, and he couldn't climb up at all. At this time, the Holy God Emperor also said, I heard that the leader Han Feng also tried to climb to the top of Kunlun Mountain, but he couldn't succeed either. He was forced to stop when he was 10,000 feet away from the top of the mountain. Yang Xiaoshan couldn't help but ask Uncle Ding. Uncle Ding also shook his head and said there was no way. Yang Xiaoshan was stunned. Even Uncle Ding couldn't do anything. Just like you want to open the 5th palace of Kangshen Cave Mansion, you need 14 primordial holy fruits to open it. Uncle Ding said, if you want to climb to the top of Kunlun Mountain, you need an eternal divine body above the perfection realm. An eternal divine body above the perfection realm. Hearing this, Yang Xiaoshan could only give up the idea of climbing to the top of Kunlun Mountain now. Perfection? Yang Xiaoshan couldn't help but think. In this case, when his eternal divine body breaks through to the perfection realm, he will climb the Kunlun Divine Mountain to see what secrets are on the top of the Kunlun Divine Mountain. Then, Yang Xiaoshan and Huanquan Ghost King and other masters also left Kunlun Divine Mountain. After leaving, Yang Xiaoshan led the crowd to the headquarters of Tangshan Divine Religion. Since Ao Rang has already escaped, this time, he will enter the headquarters of Tangshan Divine Religion to completely take charge of Tangshan Divine Religion. On the way, Yang Xiaoshan thought of the suppression of the heaven-shaking sword god. With the strength of the heaven-shaking sword god, he was suppressed by the time rune for 1,000,000 years. The terrifying strength of this person can be imagined. So who is this person? Yang Xiaoshan couldn't help but ask the heaven-shaking sword god. Everyone looked at the heaven-shaking sword god and wanted to know who did it. The heaven-shaking sword god was silent for a while and fell into ancient memories. After a while, he slowly said, he is from Zhongshan continent. Zhongshan continent. Whether it was the Holy Spirit Emperor or the Apocalypse Sword God, their hearts were trembling wildly. Even Yang Xiaoshan was shocked. He didn't expect that the other party would be from Zhongshan continent. No one knows how big the Wuhan world is, and no one knows how many continents there are in the Wuhan world. But among the tens of thousands of known continents, Zhongshan continent is the most powerful continent without any dispute. Whether it is the Wanjian continent or the Kangshen continent, they can't compare with Zhongshan continent. It's no exaggeration to say that Kangshen continent can only squeeze into the top 100 among tens of thousands of continents. If tens of thousands of continents make up the Wuhan world, then Zhongshan continent can be said to be the center of the Wuhan world. Many mythological figures in the Wuhan world come from Zhongshan continent. The great emperor of the desolate world comes from Zhongshan continent. Not only the great emperor of the desolate world, but also the lord of heaven and earth comes from Zhongshan continent. Then, the heaven-shaking sword god said again, he is from the heavenly family. The faces of the Holy Spirit Emperor, the Apocalypse Sword God and other powerful men changed drastically. The heavenly family. The Kyan Mu Sword God also changed his face again and again. Yang Xiaoshan also took a deep breath. There are many extremely ancient families in the Wuhan world. The Shan family is undoubtedly one of the oldest families in the Wuhan world. Don't look at the Mu family. The Fang family is also an extremely ancient family in the Wanjian continent, but compared with the Shan family, it is just a toddler. The Shan family is so old that it can be traced back to the prehistoric period. People don't know how many years the Shan family has existed. They only know that the Shan family has existed since the prehistoric period, and the prehistoric Xiandi is the ancestor of the Shan family. The Shan family is the undisputed first family in the Wuhan world. The Shan family? Yang Xiaoshan finally knew where the master who suppressed the heaven-shaking sword god came from. Then, Yang Xiaoshan thought of a question. So, it was the Shan family that destroyed the Huanquan demon sect? After so many years, it has always been a mystery who destroyed the Huanquan demon sect. Yes, the Huanquan Ghost King said in a low voice. Back then, two people from the Shan family came, one man and one woman. A man and a woman. Two people destroyed the Huanquan demon sect back then. The Huangquan demon sect was the first demon sect in the Kangshan continent back then, and it was also very powerful in the Wanjian continent, but it was destroyed by a man and a woman. Everyone was shocked. Obviously, Heaven Shaking Sword God was suppressed by that man. The ancestor is not dead yet. At this time, Heaven Shaking Sword God said again, back then, the other party destroyed the Yellow Spring demon sect and took the ancestor away. The ancestor should be imprisoned in the heavenly prison of the Cheyenne family now. Everyone was shocked. The Yellow Spring ancestor was not dead yet. Instead, he was taken away by the masters of the Cheyenne family. This is simply an ancient and shocking secret. The Holy Emperor suddenly said, as far as I know, Zhao Rong is actually from Zhongshan continent. Everyone was stunned. Zhao Rong is also from Zhongshan continent? This is something that no one expected. Senior, are you saying that Zhao Rong is from the Zhao family of Zhongshan continent? Yang Xiaoshan asked thoughtfully. The Zhao family of Zhongshan continent is also one of the oldest families in the Wuhan world. Although its strength is not as good as that of the Cheyenne family, it is also a giant second only to the Cheyenne family. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 587 Zhao Rong's whereabouts. The Holy Emperor shook his head. I don't know whether Zhao Rong is from the Zhao family. I only know that he is from Zhongshan continent. Yang Xiaoshan's eyes flickered. If Zhao Rong was from Zhongshan continent, then if he escaped, he might escape back to Zhongshan continent. Some people say that when Master Hang Feng left, he also went to Zhongshan continent. Qianmu Sword God suddenly said. Master went to Zhongshan continent? Yang Xiaoshan was very surprised. I heard about it too. The Holy Emperor nodded, but I don't know if it's true or not. Yang Xiaoshan pondered. His master, Master Hang Feng, was very likely to have gone to Zhongshan continent. In the notes left by his master, Master Hang Feng, he mentioned Zhongshan continent many times, and mentioned the Sword God Temple of Zhongshan continent many times. And he also mentioned the first Sword God of Zhongshan continent many times. The Abyss spaceship flew at a high speed and finally arrived at the headquarters of Zhongshan Divine Religion. The last time Yang Xiaoshan and his friends came to the headquarters of Zhongshan Divine Religion, they had to be invisible and careful. This time, everyone didn't need to be invisible. Knowing that Yang Xiaoshan, the new leader, had arrived, thousands of strong men from Zhongshan Peak rushed out to greet him. Welcome, Master. Long live Master. The voices shook the heaven and earth. Wherever Yang Xiaoshan passed, millions of citizens, billions of armies knelt down. Billions of armies kneeled down in front of him. This scene was extremely shocking. In the end, Yang Xiaoshan took over Zhongshan Peak. The next day, Yang Xiaoshan announced to the world that he was in charge of Zhongshan Divine Religion and arrested Zhao Rong with the Zhongshan Order. On the first day of taking charge of Zhongshan Divine Religion, Yang Xiaoshan went to the Zhongshan Divine Religion's treasury and alchemy room to have a good look. There were no divine pills in the Zhongshan treasury, but Yang Xiaoshan found a lot of sands of time. Seeing the sands of time, Yang Xiaoshan was very surprised. He also found a lot of waste residues of divine medicines in the alchemy room. There were so many waste residues of divine medicines, enough for his destiny divine power and Hunyuan Qianming divine body to improve a lot. So Yang Xiaoshan swallowed all these waste residues of divine medicines into the destiny tree. Knowing that Yang Xiaoshan needed the waste residue of divine medicine, the powerful people from the Holy God Emperor and Wuxin Medicine God plundered the alchemy room and sent all the waste residue of divine medicine to Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the large amount of waste residue of divine medicine sent by everyone and was very grateful to everyone. For this, he opened the furnace again and refined a large number of second level heaven grade Chengdan and life pills to give back to everyone. In the following days, Yang Xiaoshan stayed in Zhongshan Peak to absorb the sand of time, to cultivate the eternal divine body while eradicating the forces of Zhao Rong remaining in Zhongshan Divine Religion. As he continued to absorb the sand of time, the eternal divine body began to improve continuously. However, although there was a lot of sand of time in the Tangshan treasury, it was still impossible for the eternal divine body to break through to the state of great success. Time passed. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. It was late at night. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the night sky. Zhongshan continent was extremely far away, so before going to Zhongshan continent, he planned to go back to Kangshen continent. If he left this time, he really didn't know when he would come back next time. Moreover, he has now cultivated the 15th Hunyuan Shinming and can completely open the 4th palace of Kangshen Cave Mansion. The Lord of Kangshen left the Kangshen pill in the 4th palace. If he can get the Kangshen pill, his strength can be improved. But he doesn't know how many Kangshen pills the Lord of Kangshen left. In addition, he wants to go to the Beast God Mountain to have a look. He remembered that the demon ape said that the ancestor of the Beast God Mountain had sworn that as long as the Destiny God body was born, he would be born. Now that he has cultivated the Hunyuan Shinming God body, he wants to ask the ancestor of the Beast God to be born. Master, do you want to see me? At this time, the Wanji Sword God came behind Yang Xiaoshan and bowed respectfully. Yang Xiaoshan turned his head and his eyes fell on the Wanji Sword God. Wanji Sword God was very nervous when facing Yang Xiaoshan's eyes. At this moment, without the old man Huangqin, the Hanshan Sword God and other masters beside him, he was a supreme existence ranked 11th on the Sword God list, and he was still very nervous when facing Yang Xiaoshan. In the past 2 months, Yang Xiaoshan has been resolute and swift, killing those who were killed, and imprisoning those who were imprisoned. All of Zhao Rang's former confidants who had the slightest resistance were wiped out. Although it has only been 2 months, Yang Xiaoshan has completely controlled the Tangshan Divine Sect, and Yang Xiaoshan's prestige in the Tangshan Divine Sect is at its peak. I heard that you have seen the Black Dragon Sword. When the Wanji Sword God was extremely nervous, Yang Xiaoshan suddenly asked. Although the Black Dragon Sword is not on the Divine Sword list, its power is comparable to the top 10 Divine Swords. In the future, when Yang Xiaoshan wants to find a Divine Sword, he will only look for such a powerful sword that is comparable to the top 10. When the Wanji Sword God heard Yang Xiaoshan ask about the Black Dragon Sword, he was stunned and quickly replied, reporting to the leader, I did see the Black Dragon Sword in the Dragon Burial Valley a few years ago, but I don't know if the Black Dragon Sword is still in the Dragon Burial Valley now. Dragon Burial Valley. Yang Xiaoshan read it for a while, and then said, get ready, we will go to the Dragon Burial Valley tomorrow. The Wanji Sword God did not dare to disobey the order, and replied respectfully, and then retreated. After leaving, he felt cold sweat all over his body. For some reason, facing Yang Xiaoshan, he always felt a great pressure. Yang Xiaoshan seemed to have an invincible power. This power did not come from the Lord of the Abyss, nor from the Deep Sea Demon Kun. After the Wanji Sword God left, Yang Xiaoshan retracted his gaze. These days, he has been asking all parties to help him inquire about the news of the Divine Sword and the Divine Fire. He did not find out about the Divine Fire, but he got the news of the Black Dragon Divine Sword. Tomorrow, he will subdue the Black Dragon Divine Sword and set off to return to the Kangshen continent. A few days later, Yang Xiaoshan drove the Abyss spaceship and began to return to the Kangshen continent at a high speed. A few days ago, he successfully subdued the Black Dragon Divine Sword in the Buried Dragon Valley. Now, he has collected the Kangshen Sword, the Tangshan Divine Sword, the Shadow Divine Sword, the Eternal Night Divine Sword, the Ancient Thunder God Sword, the Thousand Buddha Divine Sword, the All Things Divine Sword, the Samsara Divine Sword, and the Black Dragon Divine Sword. A total of 9 great swords. In the past few days, he has been practicing the Black Dragon Sword technique. When he has practiced the Black Dragon Sword technique to the pinnacle, he will break through the 9 sword techniques to the 9 strongest sword intentions. This time, he returned to the Kangshen continent without many people. Only the Ghost King of Huangqin, the Sword God of Shaking the Sky, the Old Man of Time and Zi Wuxin. Originally, Yang Xiaoshan wanted Zi Wuxin to return to Wuxin Valley, but Zi Wuxin insisted on staying by his side, saying that when Yang Xiaoshan went to Zhongshan continent to purchase medicinal materials in the future, he could run errands or something. On the way, Yang Xiaoshan was not idle either. He swallowed the life god fruit in the spaceship and continued to practice the destiny god art. After swallowing a large amount of waste residue of the divine medicine, the destiny god tree once again grew more than a dozen divine fruits. A dozen divine fruits are enough for Yang Zai Ocean to practice for a while under the high-speed flight of the Abyss spaceship. Finally, at dusk one day, Yang Zai Ocean returned to the capital of 10,000 gods. Everyone in the god's mansion was overjoyed to see Yang Zai Ocean return. The little girl Yang Linger even beat the gongs and drums, leaving Yang Zai Ocean speechless. To Yang Zai Ocean's surprise, Long Kingsuen was also there. Moreover, both Sister Yang Linger and Long Kingsuen had successfully passed the assessment and joined the Kangshen Academy. Chapter 588, Ancestor of the Beast God. Seeing Yang Zai Ocean coming back so soon, Long Kingsuen was so happy that his eyes were smiling like a crescent moon. When Princess Wanning learned that Yang Zai Ocean was back, she also ran over early the next day, and she and Long Kingsuen almost never left Yang Zai Ocean. Wherever Yang Zai Ocean went, the two women went there. Yang Chao and Huan Ying watched this scene, and they couldn't close their mouths with joy. In the following days, Yang Zai Ocean didn't go anywhere, just stayed in the residence of the gods, accompanied his family, and enjoyed the rare time. At the same time, he instructed his sister, Long Kingsuen, and Wanning to practice. Unknowingly, it was a month later. He and the Yellow Spring Ghost King and the heaven-shaking Sword God came to the Beast God Mountain. After arriving, the Yellow Spring Ghost King directly sent thousands of ghosts to the sky, and the terrifying power alarmed the Beast God Jinyan Qianlong of the Beast God Mountain. Jinyan Qianlong led hundreds of millions of beast tribe strongmen to swarm in. "Why did you come to my Beast God Mountain?" Jinyan Qianlong stared at Yang Zai Ocean and the other two with hostility. Yang Zai Ocean didn't waste any words, and the Kangshen sword appeared in his hand. Sword of the God of Kang. You are His Majesty Yang, the new Lord of the God of Kang. When many beast ancestors saw the sword of the God of Kang in Yang Zai Ocean's hand, their faces changed greatly. Jinyan Qianlong's face also changed greatly. He didn't expect that the person who came would be the new Lord of the God of Kang. The news that Yang, the new Lord of the God of Kang, had destroyed the Dark Gate had already spread throughout the God of Kang continent. As the God of Beasts of the God of Beasts Mountain, he certainly knew about it. Suddenly, Jinyan Qianlong became much more respectful. He clasped his fists to Yang Zai Ocean and said respectfully, "I wonder why His Majesty Yang came to my God of Beasts Mountain?" Yang Zai Ocean did not answer, but urged the power of the Hunyuan Destiny Divine Body, and the surging Hunyuan power roared out. The heaven and earth shook. "What is this?" Jinyan Qianlong was shocked. "Destiny Divine Body? I heard that if the Destiny Divine Body is born, the ancestor of the God of Beasts will be born." Yang Zai Ocean said, "I have cultivated into the Hunyuan Destiny Divine Body. Today, I come to invite the ancestor of the God of Beasts to be born. Hunyuan Destiny Divine Body." When Jinyan Qianlong heard this, he was even more shocked. He was extremely excited and said to the ancestors behind him, "Quick, please invite the ancestors and tell them that the Destiny Divine Body has been born. No, it's the Hunyuan Destiny Divine Body that has been born." Then, Jinyan Qianlong bowed deeply to Yang Zai Ocean and said excitedly, "Beast God Mountain, please welcome His Majesty Yang God." The billions of powerful beastmen in Beast God Mountain bowed deeply and said excitedly, "Please welcome His Majesty Yang God." Yang Zai Ocean nodded, and then flew into the Beast God Mountain with the Ghost King of Huanquan and the Sword God of Hanshan. Just when Yang Zai Ocean and his companions arrived at the main hall of the Beast God Mountain, they saw the burly Beast God Ancestor coming over excitedly. He came in front of Yang Zai Ocean, looked at Yang Zai Ocean, felt the power of Hunyuan Destiny on Yang Zai Ocean, and was extremely excited. "It is indeed the Hunyuan Destiny Divine Body. It is." He bowed deeply to Yang Zai Ocean excitedly. "Old Peng Long greets His Majesty Yang Shen." Yang Zai Ocean helped him up and said with a smile, "Senior, there is no need to be polite." Then, the Beast God Ancestor respectfully welcomed Yang Zai Ocean into the main hall. After everyone sat down, the Beast God Ancestor looked at the Yellow Spring Ghost King and the heaven-shaking Sword God beside Yang Zai Ocean in surprise. The aura of these two people even made him feel palpitations. When did two such terrifying beings appear on the Kangshen continent? "Your Majesty Yang Shen, who are these two?" The beast god ancestor asked. Yang Zai Ocean looked at the Yellow Spring Ghost King and the Yellow Spring Ghost King. The Yellow Spring Ghost King said, Ghost King. His voice was as cold as ever. The voice of Heaven Shaking Sword God was much calmer. Heaven Shaking. Ghost King. Heaven Shaking. Jin Yanshai and Lang and others did not expect too much, but the face of the beast god ancestor changed drastically. You are the Yellow Spring Ghost King. Heaven Shaking Sword God. What? Yellow Spring Ghost King. Heaven Shaking Sword God. Jin Yanshai and Lang and other beast god mountain strongmen all jumped up in fear, as if they were facing a great enemy. All the beast god mountain strongmen in the hall were peerless strongmen, but at this moment, facing the Yellow Spring Ghost King and Heaven Shaking Sword God, they were so nervous that their palms were sweating. The beast god ancestor took a deep breath and clasped his fists and said, I didn't expect that the two seniors would come. Excuse me. The beast god ancestor is of the same generation as the immortal death god and the undefeated Hades god. But the Yellow Spring Ghost King and Heaven Shaking Sword God are still before them. The Ghost King of Huanquan nodded, and the Heaven Shaking Sword God clasped his fists and smiled. You're welcome. Then, Yang Zai Ocean asked the beast god ancestor about his doubts. I wonder why the senior must wait for the Destiny Divine Body to be born before coming out. To be honest, Your Majesty, the beast god ancestor said excitedly and helplessly, I was in an ancient land in Zongshan continent and was hit by the supreme restriction. Over the years, I can only rely on the power of the beast god mountain in Kangshan continent to suppress the restriction in my body. So, I can't leave the beast god mountain at all. Only the power of the Destiny Divine Body can remove the restriction in my body. Yang Zai Ocean was stunned. He didn't expect this to be the case. Immediately, he urged the power of the Hunio and Destiny Divine Body to help the beast god ancestor remove the restriction in his body. Thank you, Your Majesty Yangshan. The beast god ancestor felt that the restriction power in his body had been completely expelled and his whole body was relaxed. He bowed deeply in gratitude. Yang Zai Ocean shook his hand and said with a smile, it's just a small favor. The beast god ancestor was so excited that he couldn't calm down for a long time. After sitting down, he said, Your Majesty, you don't know that I'm actually from the Peng family of Zongshan continent. The Peng family of Zongshan continent. Yang Zai Ocean, Huanquan Ghost King, and Heaven Shaking Sword God were surprised. The Peng family of Zongshan continent is also one of the oldest families in the Wuhan world. Yang Zai Ocean said with a smile, I didn't expect that the senior is from the Peng family of Zongshan continent. We are planning to go to Zongshan continent in a few days. The beast god ancestor was stunned and laughed. That's great. I have been away from the family for many years and I also want to go back and take a look. Then I will lead the way for Your Majesty. Okay. Yang Zai Ocean said with a smile. Going to Zongshan continent. People are unfamiliar with the place. It would be best if the beast god ancestor led them. Since Yang Zai Ocean will set off for Zongshan continent in a few days, half a day later, the beast god ancestor left the beast god mountain with Yang Zai Ocean and others. After leaving the beast god mountain, Yang Zai Ocean did not return to the god's mansion immediately, but went to Kangshen mansion and stayed there for a long time, explaining many things. Then he went to Kangshen cave mansion and used 15 days of life to open the fourth palace and took out the Kangshen pill inside. However, there were not many Kangshen pills inside, only 5. After returning to the god's mansion, everyone was sad to learn that Yang Zai Ocean was leaving for Zongshan continent. Long Kingshan hugged Yang Zai Ocean tightly as he did last time. Brother Zai Ocean, I will wait for you. Always wait for you to come back. I will work hard to practice and join Kangshen mansion. If you don't come back for 10 years, I will wait for you for 10 years. If you don't come back for 20 years, I will wait for you for 20 years. If you don't come back for 30 years, I will go to Zongshan continent to find you. Yang Zai Ocean's heart trembled, and he took a deep breath of Long Kingshan scent, which was imprinted in his heart. Wan Ning's eyes were also red. She held Yang Zai Ocean's hand tightly and refused to let go for a long time. Finally, under the gaze of everyone, Yang Zai Ocean and the Yellow Spring Ghost King flew away. Departure, Zongshan continent. Chapter 589 Taishi Shiandi. The Abyss spaceship left Kangshan continent very quickly. When leaving Kangshan continent, Yang Ocean visited Kwuxing Divine Island again. Huangquan Ghost King and Hanshan Sword God attacked at the same time, and Di Yunshan, who was not yet fully recovered from his injuries, was frightened and almost had a heart attack. After warning Di Yunshan, Yang Ocean and his companions left. In fact, even if Yang Ocean did not warn Di Yunshan now, Di Yunshan would not dare to deal with Yang Ocean and Kangshan continent again. The Kunlun sword contest had already reached Di Yunshan's ears, so how could Di Yunshan dare to deal with Yang Ocean now? After passing Wanjian continent, Yang Ocean explained many things about Tangshan divine religion, and continued to fly to Zongshan continent. Although the speed of the Abyss spaceship is extremely fast, it will take at least several months to reach Zongshan continent. However, during these months, Yang Ocean happened to swallow the Destiny God fruit in the spaceship, and continue to practice the Destiny God art. Huangquan Ghost King and his companions also took the opportunity to practice hard. Yang Ocean has now broken through the Saint Realm, and can refine God level elixirs across borders. Unfortunately, there are too few divine medicines in Wanjian continent and Kangshan continent, so Yang Ocean can only go to Zongshan continent to buy divine medicines and refine divine medicines. Zongshan continent is the center of the martial soul world, and many divine medicines are available. Although there are no divine medicines, Huangquan Ghost King and others swallowed the second tribulation heaven grade replenishing holy pills refined by Yang Ocean to practice, and their improvement was also very fast. These days, following Yang Ocean, Huangquan Ghost King and Hanshan Sword God have not only recovered from their injuries, but their cultivation has also improved a lot. Originally, the two had no hope of reaching the heavenly realm, but now there is a steady supply of second tribulation heaven grade replenishing holy pills, which gives them hope. As the Abyss spaceship passed through one continent after another, Yang Ocean's strength increased day by day. After swallowing more than a dozen Destiny divine fruits, Yang Ocean finally broke through to the third level of the holy realm, and condensed the third primordial holy fruit. In addition to practicing, Yang Ocean would also find the ancestor of the beast god to understand the situation in Zongshan continent. Although the beast god ancestor had not returned to Zongshan continent for millions of years, he still knew Zongshan continent very well. From the beast god ancestor, Yang Ocean learned that the Hangliang emperor proclaimed himself emperor in Zongshan continent and established the heavenly court. After hundreds of millions of years of history, the 17th emperor is now in power. Now, the emperor who controls the heavenly court of Zongshan continent is called Taishi Emperor. When mentioning Taishi Emperor, the beast god ancestor was in awe. Taishi Emperor, with his literary and military skills, is as talented as the Hangliang Emperor. Under his rule, Zongshan continent is peaceful and stable. Hearing the beast god ancestor say that Taishi Emperor's talent is comparable to that of the Hangliang Emperor, Yang Ocean couldn't help but ask curiously, I wonder what destiny he is cultivating? The beast god ancestor was stunned and said hesitantly, it is said that Taishi Emperor cultivated 14 ninefold destiny. He had already learned that Yang Ocean cultivated the Hunyuan destiny. I wonder what kind of golden elixir he is cultivating? Yang Ocean asked curiously again. The ancestor of the beast god chuckled and said, it is said that the great beginning emperor cultivated 2 great holy golden pills. The holy golden pill is the first class golden pill. For millions of years, it is difficult for anyone to cultivate it. The great beginning emperor cultivated 2 great holy golden pills, and his talent is amazing. But compared with Yang Ocean's 2 great divine golden pills, the ancestor of the beast god was a little jealous. I wonder what holy fruit the great beginning emperor cultivated? Yang Ocean asked curiously. Hearing this, the ancestor of the beast god cleared his throat and smiled. The great beginning emperor cultivated 14 great primordial holy fruits. At this time, he didn't know that Yang Ocean cultivated the Hangmeng holy fruit. Yang Ocean already had a general idea of the talent of the great beginning emperor, and didn't ask him how many divine veins he had opened. But the beast god ancestor continued, it is said that the great beginning heavenly emperor possesses 7 top divine bodies. Yang Ocean was shocked. 7 top divine bodies. Born naturally? The beast god ancestor nodded and said with awe, yes, born with 7 top divine bodies. The physical strength of the great beginning heavenly emperor is the best in our Wuhan world. Yang Xiaoshan was amazed. Zenkai Qian was born with 5 top divine bodies, which was the only one in the world. I didn't expect that the great beginning heavenly emperor was born with 7 top divine bodies. The 7 top divine bodies should cover the 7 powers of gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, and thunder. How abnormal this is. However, what puzzled Yang Xiaoshan was that, according to the theory, since the great beginning heavenly emperor possessed 7 top divine bodies and such a terrifying talent, the golden elixir could not be just the holy god golden elixir. He possesses 2 holy god golden elixirs, but has anyone seen it with their own eyes? Yang Xiaoshan asked. The ancestor of the beast god shook his head. That's not the case. It's just a rumor. It seems that the talent of the Taishi Xiandi is definitely not as the outside world says, just the Holy Spirit golden elixir. Yang Xiaoshan thought to himself. How strong is the heavenly court? Yang Xiaoshan asked. The ancestor of the beast god was stunned and said in deep thought, I can only say that it is very scary, very scary. Then he said, Your Majesty will know when you arrive in Zhongshan continent. Yang Xiaoshan's heart sank. If so, there will be little hope of rescuing the Huanquan Patriarch from the heavenly prison. The Xianjia is the Xianjia of the heavenly court. The Xianjia Xianleo, where the Huanquan Patriarch was imprisoned, is the Xianleo of the heavenly court. However, Yang Xiaoshan was curious about what the Huanquan Patriarch had done, that the masters of the Xianjia would not hesitate to travel billions of miles to capture him and bring him back to the heavenly prison. Later, Yang Xiaoshan learned from the ancestor of the beast god that under the heavenly court, there was a million empire. Although he expected that the Zhongshan continent was vast and boundless, Yang Xiaoshan was still deeply shocked to learn that there were a million empires in the Zhongshan continent. Millions of empires. Yang Xiaoshan could not imagine what it was like. In Zhongshan continent, there are many empires. Hundreds of millions of sects, and families are as numerous as sand and stone. The ancestor of the beast god side, it is extremely difficult for small sects to gain a foothold and survive in Zhongshan continent. If you are not careful, you will be wiped out. This is the rule of survival. The more powerful the continent, the more intense the competition for resources. Zhongshan continent has many divine spiritual medicines, but small sects will rarely have the opportunity to see divine spiritual medicines in their lifetime. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, several months passed. Yang Xiaoshan swallowed 5 Kangshan pills for the destiny tree, and 10 destiny fruits grew. These days, he swallowed the destiny fruits, and continued to practice. His strength grew rapidly, and he had reached the peak of the 3rd late stage of the Holy Realm. At this time, Zhongshan continent was finally in sight. Your Majesty, we just need to cross the Sea of Beasts to reach Zhongshan continent. The beast god ancestor said to Yang Xiaoshan, pointing to the front. However, the Sea of Beasts is extremely dangerous. Not only are there powerful beasts, but there are also terrifying space storms, so be careful. Yang Xiaoshan nodded. Before coming here, he also knew about the Sea of Beasts. At the speed of the Abyss spaceship, it would take about 2 days to cross the Sea of Beasts. 2 days later, they will reach Zhongshan continent. Chapter 590 The next Emperor of Heaven. When he arrived at Zhongshan continent, the first thing he did was to inquire about Zhao Rong's whereabouts and the situation of Huanquan Patriarch. He set out a few months later than Zhao Rong, and Zhao Rong should have returned to the Zhao family by now. However, the heavenly prison was heavily guarded, and Huanquan Patriarch had been imprisoned for 1,000,000 years. It was extremely difficult to inquire about Huanquan Patriarch's news. Just when Yang Xiaoshan was thinking about Zhao Rong and Huanquan Patriarch, Uncle Ding suddenly said, Young man Yang, I have something to do, and I have to leave for a while. Yang Xiaoshan was surprised to hear Uncle Ding say that he will be away for a while. You are now close to the 4th level of the Holy Realm, and the Eternal Divine Body and the Hunio and Destiny Divine Body have been formed. Your strength is not weak. I will leave for a few years, and then go to Zhongshan continent to find you. Uncle Ding said, I have put all your spiritual medicines, spiritual stones, mineral materials and books in the Bilong Xianding. After speaking, Uncle Ding turned into a golden light and disappeared into the boundless sea. Yang Xiaoshan was stunned as he watched Uncle Ding disappear. Your Majesty, are you okay? The beast god ancestor didn't know about Master Ding's affairs. Seeing Yang Xiaoshan looking at the sky, he couldn't help asking. It's okay. Yang Xiaoshan came back to his senses. At the same time, he was confused and didn't understand why Master Ding was so anxious to leave. He looked at the direction where Master Ding left, which seemed to be the deepest part of the Sea of Beasts. Could it be related to the deepest part of the Sea of Beasts? However, over the years, he was used to getting along with Master Ding, both a teacher and a friend. Yang Xiaoshan was really a little uncomfortable with Master Ding's departure. Another day passed. Through the thick fog of the Sea of Beasts, the huge figure of Zhongshan continent could be seen. Seeing that Zhongshan continent was about to arrive, Yang Xiaoshan was somewhat excited. The beast god ancestor looked at the vague Zhongshan continent and was even more excited. After a million years, he was finally going to set foot on this land that he had been dreaming about again. Just when several people were excited about landing on Zhongshan continent, suddenly, the space in the distance shook violently, and a huge storm formed instantly. And it bombarded the Abyss spaceship at an extremely alarming speed. Everyone be careful. Everyone's face changed drastically. The Ghost King of Huanquan and the Sword God of Shaking the Sky attacked almost at the same time. The Ghost King of Huanquan summoned the Eternal Heavenly Coffin in an instant. The Sword God of Shaking the Sky even used the Black Demon Sword. However, despite the bombardment of several people, the space storm not only did not stop, but it came at a more terrifying speed. Retreat. Yang Xiaoshan drove the spaceship back and dodged without hesitation. The space storm was too fast and instantly submerged the Abyss spaceship. The Abyss spaceship and everyone were all caught in the terrifying space storm. The world spun around. Everyone bombarded with all their strength, but it was useless, and they could not break the space storm at all. The space storm took everyone around at a terrifying speed. I don't know how long it took. Suddenly, Yang Xiaoshan's whole body relaxed, the power of the space storm disappeared, and the whole person fell from the sky. Even if Yang Xiaoshan tried his best to stabilize his body, it was useless, and he crashed into a high peak. There was a loud bang. The peak was smashed to pieces. Just as Yang Xiaoshan smashed down, there was another loud explosion, and the beast god ancestor also smashed on the mountain next to it, and the mountain next to it was also smashed and exploded, with dust rolling. Yang Xiaoshan felt that all the bones in his body were broken. It was not because of the smash, but because of the crazy tearing of the terrifying power of the space storm he encountered before. If he did not have the eternal divine body and the Hunio and Destiny divine body, he would have died long ago. Although the beast god ancestor was at the peak of the 10th level of the divine spirit, it was still very difficult. After a while, Yang Xiaoshan's 10 fingers were finally able to move. He took out a mouthful of the 6th level heavenly tribulation thunder water and swallowed it. After a while, there was a sound of breaking through the air. Obviously, someone heard the movement here and rushed over. Your Majesty, are you okay? The beast god ancestor Penglong stood up, shook off the dust on his body, and came to Yang Xiaoshan. It's okay. Yang Xiaoshan shook his head and stood up. At this time, a young man in a pharmacist's robe flew over and looked at Yang Xiaoshan and Penglong in surprise. Just now, he could see clearly from a distance that Yang Xiaoshan and the other two fell from the sky at an extremely terrifying speed. They are fine. Are you two okay? The young pharmacist asked, although he was surprised. Nothing. Yang Xiaoshan shook off the dust on his body and said, we came to Zhongshan continent from other continents, but we didn't expect to encounter a space storm in the Sea of Heavenly Beasts. Hearing Yang Xiaoshan mention the space storm, the young pharmacist's face changed, and then looked at Yang Xiaoshan and the other two, and couldn't help but look in awe. You two seniors are coming to Zhongshan continent to participate in the conferred God War, right? The conferred God War? Yang Xiaoshan was puzzled. Penglong was also puzzled. You two seniors don't know about the conferred God War? The young pharmacist was stunned when he saw Yang Xiaoshan and the other two's reaction. Later, Yang Xiaoshan learned from the young pharmacist that the Heavenly Court announced to the world a year ago that the conferred God War would be held. Anyone in the Wuhan world who is not more than 1,000 years old can sign up to participate in the conferred God War. Why does the Heavenly Court hold the conferred God War? Peng Long always felt strange. The young pharmacist said, I heard that the Emperor Taishi wanted to select disciples through the conferred God's War to inherit his legacy. What? The Emperor Taishi wants to select disciples? Peng Long was shocked. Yang Xiaoshan was also surprised and shocked. As the Emperor of Heaven, the Emperor Taishi was the #1 person in Zhongshan continent. His selection of disciples was definitely a great event. Does the Emperor Taishi have no disciples to inherit his legacy? Yang Xiaoshan couldn't help asking. The young pharmacist shook his head. The Emperor Taishi has not found a suitable person to inherit his legacy in these years. I heard that none of the younger generations of the heavenly family have talents that satisfy him. So, he has never accepted a disciple. Yang Xiaoshan's heart jumped. This means that the Emperor Taishi not only wants to find someone to inherit his legacy, but also wants to find the next emperor through this conferred God's War. The next emperor. Peng Long also thought of this question and his eyelids jumped. Moreover, the Emperor Taishi's lifespan seems to be coming to an end. It's time to appoint the next emperor. When will the conferred God's War begin? Yang Xiaoshan asked. It's not clear yet. The young pharmacist said, it should be soon. The Heavenly Court will announce the date and rules within this month. Yang Xiaoshan asked the young pharmacist some more questions, then gave him a holy pill, and said goodbye to Peng Long and left. The young man held the holy pill in his hand and swallowed hard. After Yang Xiaoshan and Peng Long left, they began to look for the 4 yellow spring ghost kings around. However, after searching for a long time, they still didn't find the 4 yellow spring ghost kings. In the end, Yang Xiaoshan and the others had to give up and ask for news about the 4 people later. With the strength of the 4 people, it is expected that nothing will happen. Your Majesty, I will go back to the Peng family first. Peng Long said, you and I will go to the Peng family first. When we get there, we will make plans. The selection of the next heavenly emperor by the great beginning emperor is a super shocking event in the Zhongshan continent. It is estimated that the entire Zhongshan continent is in a state of panic. Chapter 591 A Saint Realm cannot pass the first round. Okay. Yang Xiaoshan did not hesitate and immediately flew to the Peng family with Peng Long at a high speed. Zhongshan continent is extremely vast. Fortunately, the Peng family's headquarters is not far from here. At their speed, they should be able to arrive in 2 days. Just as Yang Xiaoshan and Peng Long were flying to the Peng family's headquarters, all the ancestors of the divine realm gathered in the main hall of the Peng family's headquarters. Peng Hui, the head of the Peng family, glanced at everyone and said, I believe everyone understands the importance of this conferred god battle. Tomorrow I will open the restrictions of the divine land and let Peng Lin, Peng Fei and 10 others go into practice. Peng Lin and Peng Fei are the most talented and most powerful younger disciples of the Peng family under the age of 1000. Especially Peng Lin, whose talent is so high that he has surpassed all the previous sons of God in the Peng family. Hearing that the head of the family wants to open the divine land and let Peng Lin and 10 others go into practice, the ancestors naturally have no objection. Peng Lin will be the hope of our Peng family. This conferred god battle will be the opportunity for our Peng family to rise. Peng Hui's face was solemn. I hope everyone can take out all the resources in their hands and do their best to improve Peng Lin and his strength before the conferred god battle. Just as Peng Hui said this, he saw a great elder running in with excitement. Master, Peng Long Taizu is back. What? Peng Hui didn't react for a while. After all, Peng Long had been gone for a million years. It's Peng Long Taizu who is back. The great elder was excited again. This time, Peng Hui and the ancestors of the Peng family finally heard it clearly. Peng Hui stood up suddenly, his voice trembling, and he couldn't believe it. You said, my eldest brother is back. After a million years, the eldest brother finally came back. Yes, Peng Long Taizu is back, and he is outside. The great elder wiped his tears and said excitedly. Peng Hui heard it, no longer hesitated, and rushed out with the ancestors and ancient ancestors of the Peng family. Arriving at the gate of the Peng family mansion, Peng Hui saw a tall figure. Seeing this familiar figure, Peng Hui's eyes turned red, and he rushed out. Brother, it's you, you're back. Peng Hui came to Peng Long and shook Peng Long's arms with trembling and excitement. After a million years, Peng Long looked at Peng Hui in front of him, and was also very excited. You're back. How is father? Father and ancestors are all well. Peng Hui said excitedly. Father and ancestors have always missed you. If they knew you were back, they would be very happy. Who is this? Peng Hui looked at Yang Xiaoshan. Peng Long hurriedly said, second brother, this is my friend, young Master Yang. Since they came to Zhongshan continent, the title of His Majesty was no longer appropriate, so Yang Xiaoshan asked Peng Long to call him young Master Yang. Friend? Peng Hui was stunned. He originally thought that this young man was his elder brother's disciple. His elder brother was of such status that he would recognize a young man as a friend. Meet the head of the Peng family. Yang Xiaoshan clasped his fists and said. Peng Hui nodded and smiled. Although he was puzzled about Yang Xiaoshan's identity, he did not ask much. He smiled to Peng Long and said, brother, you are back at the right time. The Heavenly Court is going to hold the conferred god battle this time. His Majesty the Emperor of Heaven will select his personal disciples and successors through the conferred god battle. This is a great opportunity for our Peng family to rise. You don't know that the talent of our Peng family's generation of son of god Peng Lin is better than yours. He is expected to be selected by His Majesty the Emperor of Heaven. Then he pulled Peng Long to the main hall. Peng Long couldn't help but smile bitterly when he heard this, because he knew that as long as Yang Xiaoshan was there, no matter how powerful and terrifying the son of god was, it would be useless. Seeing Peng Long's expression, Peng Hui thought that Peng Long didn't believe it, so he smiled and said, brother, you don't believe it? I'll let Peng Lin come over later, and you'll know how amazing Peng Lin's talent is. Peng Long suddenly said, second brother, where are father and ancestors now? I want to see father and ancestors. Peng Hui was stunned, and then smiled and said, okay, I'll take you to see father and ancestors now. Afterwards, Peng Long asked someone to arrange the best palace of the Peng family for Yang Xiaoshan. The best palace? The great elder was stunned. Generally speaking, the best palace of the Peng family is only arranged for the patriarchs and heads of the major superpowers in Zhongshan continent. Peng Hui was also surprised, and then he said to the great elder, listen to my big brother, and arrange the best palace for this young Master Yang. The great elder then took the order and left. Afterwards, Peng Hui brought Peng Long to meet the ancestor of the Peng family and their father. On the way, Peng Hui couldn't help asking, brother, is this young man very important? Peng Long nodded and said, I came to see my father and ancestors, because I want to ask them to use all the resources of our Peng family, to support young Master Yang. What? Peng Hui was surprised when he heard it. He really didn't expect that his elder brother wanted to ask his father and ancestors to use all the resources of the Peng family to support the young man surnamed Yang as soon as he came back. Brother, this is impossible. Peng Hui shook his head and said, ancestors and father will never agree. Not to mention that ancestors and father disagree. No one in the Peng family would agree that the Peng family would use all their resources to support a person with a different surname. In the evening, Yang Xiaoshan was comprehending the black dragon sword in the palace, arranged by the Peng family, and heard the Peng family disciples passing by outside the palace talking about it. I don't know what Grand Ancestor Peng Long was thinking. He actually asked the ancestors to use all the resources of the Peng family to train that young man surnamed Yang. And this young man surnamed Yang is only a saint realm. All the disciples of our Peng family who participated in the conferred gods war this time are all in the divine realm. It is impossible for a saint realm disciple to pass the first round of the conferred gods war. Since the rules of this conferred gods war are that anyone under 1,000 years old can participate, almost 30% of the talented disciples participating in the conferred gods war are above the divine realm. Therefore, it is almost impossible for a saint realm disciple to pass the first round of assessment. Yang Xiaoshan's face was normal. After a while, Peng Long came to see Yang Xiaoshan, a little dejected. He was about to speak, but Yang Xiaoshan shook his hand and said with a smile, Senior, I already know about the matter senior, don't feel guilty. In fact, when he came to the Peng family, he never thought of using the resources of the Peng family to cultivate. Peng Long nodded and said, the Heavenly Court has just announced that the preliminary election will be held in each empire. Only the top 10 in each empire can go to the Heavenly Court to participate in the conferred God War. In other words, if you don't win the top 10 in each empire, you don't even have the qualification to go to the Heavenly Court to participate in the conferred God War. In each empire, there are many sects and families, and there are more than tens of millions of disciples who have signed up. How fierce will the competition be to win the top 10? Yang Xiaoshan looked calm and asked, when will the preliminary election be held? Next month. Peng Long said. However, our Peng family will set off for the imperial capital tomorrow. How about going with us, young master? After speaking, he looked at Yang Xiaoshan expectantly. Chapter 592, The Second Sword God Temple. No. Yang Xiaoshan shook his head. He didn't blame the Peng family for not devoting all their resources to train him, but he didn't want to travel with everyone in the Peng family. After all, he still had to practice on the road, which was inconvenient. Peng Long couldn't help but feel disappointed when he heard this. He pondered and said, if that's the case, when will the young master set off? I will go to the imperial capital with you. Okay. Yang Xiaoshan nodded and smiled. We will go together tomorrow. Peng Long was overjoyed when he heard Yang Xiaoshan's promise. Okay, then I will go to prepare now. Then he left happily. Seeing Peng Long's happy look, Yang Xiaoshan smiled. The next day, it was just dawn. Yang Xiaoshan and Peng Long left the Peng family and set off for the imperial capital. Peng Long's father Peng Fei frowned when he learned that Peng Long did not go with everyone in the Peng family, but accompanied Yang Xiaoshan to the imperial capital early. He really didn't know what kind of devil was this kid Peng Long possessed, and he actually believed that a young man in the Holy Realm could win the first place in this conferred god battle. Yesterday, in front of him and the old ancestor, he kept saying that this young man surnamed Yang could win the first place. First place. Peng Fei shook his head. After Yang Xiaoshan and Peng Long left the Peng family, they arrived at an uninhabited place, drove the Abyss spaceship, and rushed to the imperial capital. The empire where the Peng family is located is called the Linyuan Empire. The imperial capital of the Linyuan Empire is not far from the Peng family's headquarters, and it can be reached in 3 or 4 days at most. Yang Xiaoshan continued to swallow the second tribulation heaven Great Shengdan to practice in the spaceship. Now, he is at the peak of the third level of the Holy Realm. When he arrives at the Linyuan Imperial capital, he plans to go to the medicine hall and the Chamber of Commerce to see if he can buy a divine elixir, and then refine a divine elixir. If a divine elixir can be refined, the Destiny Divine Tree will swallow the divine elixir and grow the Destiny Divine Fruit. Before going to the Heavenly Court to participate in the conferred God War, he will have the hope of breaking through to the 4th level of the Holy Realm and condensing the 4th Hangmeng Holy Fruit. While swallowing the Shengdan to practice, Yang Xiaoshan did not forget to practice the Black Dragon Sword technique. After these days of unremitting practice, his Black Dragon Sword skill has now reached the perfect state. He is only one step away from reaching the pinnacle. 3 days later, when Yang Xiaoshan and his companions arrived at Linyuan Imperial capital, it was almost noon. However, the two were not in a hurry to find a place to stay, but planned to register first. Although they expected that there would be a lot of people registering, when Yang Xiaoshan and his companions arrived at the square, they were still shocked to see a huge crowd of people, if not tens of millions. I'm afraid there must be millions of people. The square is very large, with 100 registration locations, but each line has no end in sight. Yang Xiaoshan couldn't help but think of the scene when he went to the Sky Burial Academy to register, but now there are more people than back then. Just when Yang Xiaoshan was speechless, a young man came over and asked Yang Xiaoshan with a smile, "Little brother, do you want to queue up to register? Do you want to register as soon as possible? Give us 100 low-grade spirit stones, and we can help you arrange 100 people in advance. If you give us 10,000 low-grade spirit stones, we can help you arrange 10,000 people in advance. Give us 100,000 low-grade spirit stones, and we will help you register immediately." Yang Xiaoshan and Peng Long were stunned. Yang Xiaoshan asked with a smile, 100,000 low-grade spirit stones, register directly? The young man's eyes lit up and smiled. Yes, register directly. Yang Xiaoshan took out a space ring and threw it to the other party. The young man opened it and smiled. He immediately took Yang Xiaoshan to the front of a team and asked his teammate to make way and register Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the young man meaningfully. The other party dared to do this so blatantly, and his identity was obviously not simple. According to the registration requirements, Yang Xiaoshan came to the center of the formation and began to test his bone age and realm. As the formation was activated, a burst of light enveloped Yang Xiaoshan. Soon, the stone mirror in front of him gradually revealed Yang Xiaoshan's bone age and realm. Bone age 18. Realm, the peak of the third level of the Holy Realm. The registered masters looked at the stone mirror, stunned, shocked, and then unbelievable. 18 years old, the peak of the third level of the Holy Realm. Even the young man who brought Yang Xiaoshan here just now was shocked. The powerful people who registered around were in an uproar. What? 18 years old, the peak of the third level of the Holy Realm? How is this possible? His Majesty the Great Emperor of the primordial world could not have cultivated so fast back then. Everyone looked at Yang Xiaoshan in shock. If he broke through the Holy Realm at the age of 18, it would be amazing. But if he cultivated to the peak of the third level of the Holy Realm at the age of 18, it would be simply shocking. The Zhongshan continent is vast, with millions of empires, hundreds of millions of sects, and geniuses as numerous as the sands of the Ganges. I have never heard of anyone who can cultivate to the peak of the third level of the Holy Realm at the age of 18. The registered masters were afraid that they were wrong, so they asked Yang Xiaoshan to test it again. Still 18 years old, at the peak of the third level of the Saint Realm. Finally, under the other party's shocked, incredible, weird, and pity eyes, Yang Xiaoshan was registered and given a preliminary identity card. Just as Yang Xiaoshan and Peng Long were about to leave, the young man who took Yang Xiaoshan to register came forward and smiled at Yang Xiaoshan. Brother, are you interested in joining our Sword God Temple? Sword God Temple. Peng Long was surprised. Yang Xiaoshan was also surprised. This young Xiaoqiu turned out to be from the Sword God Temple. The Sword God Temple is definitely one of the most powerful giants in Zhongshan continent, with influence all over Zhongshan continent. In Zhongshan continent, the Sword God Temple has the highest status, even above many empires. Even the first empire is inferior to the Sword God Temple. Yes, Sword God Temple. The young man smiled at Yang Xiaoshan. I'm Wang Yang. If you want to join our Sword God Temple, you can come to the north of the city with a token. Then he gave Yang Xiaoshan a token and told him the specific location. Yang Xiaoshan took the token, thanked him, and then left the square with Peng Long. The young man Wang Yang stared at Yang Xiaoshan's departing figure with a thoughtful look on his face. At the age of 18, he has reached the peak of the third level of the Holy Realm. His cultivation speed is even more terrifying than mine. I didn't expect such a demon to appear in the Wuhan world. But, what a pity. Finally, he shook his head. At the age of 18, he has reached the peak of the third level of the Holy Realm. Such a cultivation speed shows that Yang Xiaoshan has amazing talent. However, at the peak of the third level of the Holy Realm, he is destined to not be able to win a good ranking in this conferred god battle, and he may not even pass the preliminary selection of the Linyuan Empire. After Yang Xiaoshan left, he and Peng Long found the best restaurant in the imperial capital and rented the best palace. Not long after, Peng Long, who had gone out to inquire about the news, came back and said to Yang Xiaoshan, "Young master, I have found out that Wang Yang is the direct disciple of the second sword god of the Sword God Temple. He is also one of the most popular candidates for the preliminary selection of the Linyuan Empire this time. He is actually the direct disciple of the second sword god." Yang Xiaoshan was stunned. Chapter 593, Senior Medicine God Kishan. However, Yang Xiaoshan noticed that Peng Long said that Wang Yang was only one of the candidates for the Linyuan Empire's primary election. Are there any other people who have the hope of winning? Yang Xiaoshan asked. Wang Yang is the disciple of the second sword god of the Sword God Temple, and his talent is definitely very high. Is there anyone in the Linyuan Empire's primary election who is as talented as Wang Yang? The other candidate for the championship is Liang Heng, the disciple of Zhao Xianjun. Peng Long said Zhao Xianjun with a look of fear, and his voice became different. Yang Xiaoshan was shocked. Zhao Xianjun's disciple also participated in the Linyuan Empire's primary election? Taishi Shiandi is undoubtedly the #1 person in Zhongshan continent, and under Taishi Shiandi, there are 10 peerless strongmen, who are respected as Xianjin by hundreds of millions of strongmen in Zhongshan continent. That means the King of Heaven, the 10 great Xianjins of the Heavenly Court, each of them is absolutely the most powerful and terrifying supreme existence in Zhongshan continent. Zio Xianjin is one of the 10 great Xianjins of the Heavenly Court. Unexpectedly, Zio Xianjin's disciple would also participate in the Linyuan Empire's primary election. Yes, Zio Xianjin's disciple Liang Heng also participated in the primary election of our Linyuan Empire. Peng Long said, because Liang Heng was born in the Liang family of Linyuan Empire. The Liang family is also one of the most powerful and ancient families in Linyuan Empire, and its strength is even greater than that of the Peng family. And I found out that Linyuan Empire and tens of thousands of surrounding empires are all under the jurisdiction of Zio Xianjin. Peng Long said excitedly, I heard that Zio Xianjin will also be present at the Linyuan Empire primary election this time. Zio Xianjin will be present. This is definitely a shocking event for the Linyuan Empire. Zio Xianjin is one of the 10 great Xianjins in the Heavenly Court. He came to watch the Linyuan Empire primary election. The major families and sects of the Linyuan Empire are probably boiling. Of course, it is normal for Zio Xianjin to come to cheer up his disciple when he is participating in the Linyuan Empire primary election. After a pause, Peng Long continued, there is another person who has a great hope of winning the first place in the Linyuan Empire primary election this time. He is the Crown Prince of the Linyuan Empire, Zzao. Linyuan Crown Prince Zzao. Yang Xiaoshan thought to himself, where is the godson of your Peng family? Yang Xiaoshan couldn't help asking. He remembered that Peng Hui, the head of the Peng family, said a few days ago that the godson of this generation of the Peng family had higher talent than Peng Long. When Peng Long heard Yang Xiaoshan asking about the godson of the Peng family, he said a little embarrassedly, our Peng family godson Peng Lin is expected to win the top 10 in this preliminary election. But the top 3 is impossible. After all, there are Yang Xiaoshan, Liang Heng, Wang Yang, and Zzao. Then, Peng Long took out a thick book and said, Sir, I have bought the book you want. This book records the power of the major supergiants and some information about the major supermasters in Zhongshan continent, which helps Yang Xiaoshan quickly understand the current situation of Zhongshan continent. Okay senior, you have worked hard. Yang Xiaoshan smiled. After a while, Peng Long left Yang Xiaoshan's palace. Yang Xiaoshan began to flip through the book. Just as Yang Xiaoshan was flipping through the book, Zio Xianjin was in a palace far away from the Linyuan Empire, flipping through a broken book. This broken book has an amazing origin, but for so many years, he has never been able to comprehend the secrets in it. My lord. At this time, the voice of his subordinates sounded outside the palace. Zio Xianjin put away the broken book and said, come in. My lord, there is news from the Linyuan imperial capital. Just now that young master Liang Heng has made a breakthrough. His subordinates came in and said respectfully, Henja has made a breakthrough. Zio Xianjin was very surprised when he heard it and smiled and said, great. You are worthy of being my good disciple. Liang Heng's breakthrough means that he will surely win the first place in the Linyuan Empire's primary election this time. Otherwise, it would be a joke if he, a direct disciple of one of the 10 great Xianjins, could not even win the first place in an imperial primary election. I will be in seclusion for a few days. Come and call me the day before the primary election next month. Zio Xianjin said in a good mood. Yes, my lord. The next day, the sun was shining. Yang Xiaoshan stopped practicing, then called Peng Long, and went to the Linyuan Empire's pharmacist hall. He had finished reading the book that Peng Long bought last night. He learned that, if he wanted to buy divine level spiritual medicines in Zhongshan continent, the first choice was to go to the major pharmacist halls. Although some super chambers of commerce also sell divine level spiritual medicines, they are not as complete as the major pharmacist halls. Moreover, the divine level spiritual medicines in the major pharmacist halls are better than those in the major chambers of commerce. The pharmacist hall of Linyuan Empire is easy to find. After a while, the two arrived at the pharmacist hall. There are quite a lot of people in the pharmacist hall. The whole hall is filled with people. The whole hall is filled with the fragrance of elixirs and spiritual medicines, which is refreshing. Yang Xiaoshan went straight to the front desk. When the female pharmacist at the front desk learned that Yang Xiaoshan wanted to buy divine level spiritual medicines, her beautiful eyes were stunned. She looked Yang Xiaoshan up and down and said, "Are you a 9-star pharmacist? 9-star pharmacist? What do you mean?" Yang Xiaoshan asked in confusion. The Zangshan Continent Pharmacist Hall stipulates that only 9-star pharmacists can buy divine level spiritual medicines. The female pharmacist patiently explained. Yang Xiaoshan was stunned. There is such a rule. A 9-star pharmacist is a powerful medicine god. Doesn't it mean that only medicine gods are qualified to buy god level spiritual medicines? He couldn't help but look at Peng Long. Peng Long also looked confused and obviously didn't know this rule. The female pharmacist explained, because the god level spiritual medicines in Zangshan Continent are becoming increasingly scarce. 10,000 years ago, the Zangshan Continent Pharmacist Hall had to make this rule. Yang Xiaoshan was helpless and said, "In this case, I want to test the 9-star pharmacist." As soon as Yang Xiaoshan said this, many pharmacists and masters around looked over. An inconspicuous old pharmacist who passed by stopped and looked at Yang Xiaoshan and laughed. "Little guy, you said you want to test the 9-star pharmacist. Are you sure?" "I'm sure," Yang Xiaoshan said. After the old pharmacist confirmed that Yang Xiaoshan was not joking, he finally looked at Yang Xiaoshan straight in the eye. He originally came from the Zangshan Continent Pharmacist Hall to Linyuan Empire for something, but he didn't expect to meet such an interesting little guy today. "Little guy, how old are you this year?" The old pharmacist looked at Yang Xiaoshan with interest and asked with a smile. "I'm 18 this year." Yang Xiaoshan shook his head and said, "However, the Pharmacist General Hall has no rules that 18-year-olds cannot take the assessment of 9-star pharmacists, right?" When everyone around heard that Yang Xiaoshan was only 18 years old and wanted to take the assessment of 9-star pharmacists and become a medicine god, they couldn't help but laugh. "Little brother, I wonder what star pharmacist you are now? I don't think you have even seen what a god level elixir looks like, and you want to take the assessment of a 9-star pharmacist?" A 4-star pharmacist laughed. Everyone laughed. Suddenly, an old ancestor stared at the old pharmacist standing in front of Yang Xiaoshan. His eyes widened, and he was very excited. "You are senior Kishan medicine god." When the old ancestor said this, the hall suddenly became quiet. Everyone looked at the old pharmacist in shock. Kishan medicine god. The strongest medicine god in Zangshan Continent. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 594 Evaluation, Miracle. Yang Xiaoshan was also surprised. In the book he read last night, one page focused on the various legendary deeds of Kishan medicine god. Kishan medicine god is the first medicine god in Zangshan Continent and the master of the Zangshan Continent Pharmacist Hall. He is the leader of all the pharmacists in Zangshan Continent. Taishi Xiandi has been in charge of the heaven for tens of millions of years and is powerful under the world. It is a taboo to take the name and title of Kishan. Who dares to take this title? But Kishan medicine god took it. Kishan, equal to the sky. So it's senior Kishan. Yang Xiaoshan clasped his fists. Kishan medicine god looked at Yang Xiaoshan and smiled. "Little guy, if you really want to take the assessment of the 9-star pharmacist, I will host it for you." Back then, he became the medicine god at the age of 100, which was a miracle in the history of Zangshan Continent. He didn't believe that the young man in front of him could really break his miracle. The powerful people around heard that Kishan medicine god actually gave Yang Xiaoshan the pharmacist assessment, and they were all in an uproar and envy. "Okay." Yang Xiaoshan was not flattered and said with a normal face, "Arrange a test site for him." Kishan medicine god said to the female pharmacist at the counter, "Don't bother, just go there." Yang Xiaoshan shook his head and took out his 5-star pharmacist ID card. Last time in Wanjian Continent, he did not test the 6-star pharmacist. This time, he tested the 6-star, 7-star, 8-star, and 9-star at the same time. Therefore, Yang Xiaoshan first tested the 6-star pharmacist. Immediately, the pharmacist hall prepared all the medicinal materials for refining the 6th level elixir, the 9-turn return to origin pill, for Yang Xiaoshan. When the female pharmacist was about to prepare a cauldron for Yang Xiaoshan shook his head and said, "No need." Seeing that Yang Xiaoshan was not going to use the cauldron, the strong men from all sides of the hall were surprised. This young man, is he going to do the same as senior Qishan, and not use the cauldron to refine medicine? Qishan medicine god is the first medicine god in Zhongshan continent. One of the miracles that people talk about is that he does not use the cauldron to refine medicine. Seeing that Yang Xiaoshan was not going to use the cauldron, Qishan medicine god was also surprised and amazed. In the surprise of everyone, Yang Xiaoshan immediately unfolded his soul power. The amazing soul power instantly covered an area of 100 miles. The world shook on Thursday. The vast fire of heaven and earth rolled in. Soul power, 100 miles. Everyone was shocked. Even the 7-star pharmacists at the peak of the holy realm rarely have soul power that can reach 100 miles. Qishan medicine god's eyes lit up. 100 miles? Not bad. With Yang Xiaoshan's hands waving, the fire of heaven and earth turned into fire dragons, sweeping up all the medicinal materials on the ground. The fire dragon rotated, and hundreds of medicinal materials followed the fire dragon, and rotated continuously in the air. The pharmacists present were shocked to see this unique method of refining medicine. Under the entanglement of the fire dragon, all the medicinal materials melted into liquid medicine in just a few breaths. When hundreds of liquid medicines merged, the fire dragon's light surged and turned into a fire tripod, and the liquid medicine fell into the fire tripod. The fire tripod kept rotating. There were bursts of light and the fragrance of the elixir was everywhere. Suddenly, the fire cauldron stopped rotating, and a crystal clear 9-turn return to origin pill flew out of the fire cauldron. Top grade 9-turn return to origin pill. Looking at the flying 9-turn return to origin pill, many pharmacists at the scene felt as if they were in a dream. Many people have not yet recovered from Yang Xiaoshan's magical medicine refining technique. The state of unity between man and nature. Great. Qishan medicine god looked at the flying 9-turn return to origin pill and couldn't help but exclaimed. How could he not see that Yang Xiaoshan had reached the state of unity between man and nature? The state of unity between man and nature. Everyone looked at Yang Xiaoshan in shock. Of course, everyone knew what the state of unity between man and nature meant. It is said that only the medicine god can comprehend the state of unity between man and nature, but the young man in front of him has comprehended it. Yang Xiaoshan gave the pill to Qishan medicine god. Senior, how is it? Qishan medicine god looked at the 9 revolutions return to origin pill in his hand, nodded and smiled. Top grade 9 revolutions return to origin pill. Passed the 6-star pharmacist assessment. No need to use a cauldron to refine medicine. Rated as a miracle. The assessment of pharmacists is one thing, but there is also an assessment. Qualified is the lowest, above qualified is excellent, above excellent is perfect, and above perfect is a miracle. Above miracles, there are miracles. Miracles are hard to come by, and miracles are almost the highest assessment. Qishan medicine god looked at Yang Xiaoshan with a calm face, but his heart was actually turbulent. At the age of 18, the power of the soul is 100 miles. No need to use a cauldron to refine medicine. Comprehend the state of unity between man and nature. Either one is unprecedented. Back then, when he was 18 years old, his soul power was not even 50 miles. Not to mention not using a cauldron to refine medicine. He only comprehended the ability to refine medicine without a cauldron after he became the medicine god. Similarly, he only comprehended the state of unity between man and nature when he was nearly 100 years old. Many of the records he had set before were almost broken by the young man in front of him. Yang Xiaoshan turned his head and looked at the female pharmacist. Please prepare the medicinal materials for the heavenly emperor pill for me. The female pharmacist came to her senses and quickly prepared the medicinal materials for the heavenly emperor pill for Yang Xiaoshan. Everyone held their breath. This time, Yang Xiaoshan still did not use the 3 great divine fires, nor did he use many strange fires. He still simply used the fire of heaven and earth to refine the medicine. However, this time, he once again released the power of his soul. The power of his soul directly covered 200 miles. Suddenly, the airflow roared, sand and rocks flew, and the sky and the earth changed color. Soul power of 200 miles. When Yang Ocean released his soul power, everyone at the scene was shocked. Soul power of 200 miles. This is already the soul power of the medicine god level. Kishan medicine god also trembled with his hands. At the age of 18, a soul power of 100 miles is already a miracle, so what about a soul power of 200 miles? Under Yangtze Ocean, the fire of heaven and earth with a radius of 200 miles roared towards the hall, like a tsunami, sweeping up all the medicinal materials on the ground. This time, the fire of heaven and earth did not condense into a fire dragon, but turned into a vast sea of fire, supporting all the medicinal materials and constantly rising and falling. Wisps of flames floated up. When all the medicinal materials melted, the sea of fire turned into a cauldron. Not long after, a Cheyenne pill filled with imperial power and colorful light appeared in front of everyone. Cheyenne pill was created by the prehistoric Cheyenne and has been passed down for countless years, but it is very rare to be able to refine Cheyenne pill with imperial power. Kishan medicine god looked at the Cheyenne pill in his hand, took a deep breath, and still couldn't calm down. The best Cheyenne pill, with imperial power, passed the 7-star pharmacist assessment. Assessment. Miracle. Another miracle. Everyone looked at Yangtze Ocean and was shocked. 18 years old 7-star pharmacist. Even if the boy in front of him did not continue the assessment, it was enough to shock the pharmacist world of Zongshan continent. Back then, Kishan medicine god also took the 7-star pharmacist assessment at the age of 18. Sister, please help me prepare the medicinal materials for refining the holy pill. Yangtze Ocean said to the female pharmacist. She didn't feel anything just now, but when the female pharmacist heard the name sister, she felt her heart beating fast. In a flurry, she helped Yangtze Ocean prepare the medicinal materials for the holy pill. Looking at the medicinal materials for the holy pill in front of him, Yangtze Ocean released his soul power again. Suddenly, the sky and the earth exploded. Chapter 595. The youngest medicine god in Zongshan continent. 300 miles. When Yangtze Ocean's soul power directly covered an area of 300 miles, thunder and lightning flashed, the hall shook, and a terrifying hurricane rolled. Everyone changed color. Within a radius of 300 miles, even many 9-star medicine gods did not have such a terrifying soul power. At the age of 18, the soul covers 300 miles. This is going against the will of heaven. An old ancestor level pharmacist muttered to himself. At the age of 18, the soul covers 300 miles. Zongshan continent has never appeared since ancient times. Kishan medicine god's face also changed. And Yangtze Ocean's soul power also alarmed countless powerful people in the imperial capital. Which medicine god in the medicine hall is refining medicine? Is it the Zuanli medicine god? There are not many medicine gods in the Linyuan Empire, only 4. But the soul power that can reach a radius of 300 miles is only the strongest medicine god in the Linyuan Empire, the Zuanli medicine god. In the surprise of everyone, the fire of heaven and earth continued to pour into the main hall of the medicine hall. This time, the fire of heaven and earth did not turn into a vast ocean, but into sparks in the starry sky. Countless sparks floated above the hall. The sparks dropped one after another of firelight. Under the illumination of these firelights, all the medicinal materials also shone brightly, emitting a little red light. As these medicinal materials floated up, soon all the medicinal materials melted into liquid. The sparks on the hall gathered and condensed into a fire tripod, sucking all the medicinal liquid into it. As the firelight flowed, the tripod was shining and filled with holy light. This was a sign of pill formation. Everyone took a breath of cold air. There was no doubt that the young man in front of them would pass the 8-star pharmacist assessment. 18 years old 8-star pharmacist. Just thinking about it made everyone tremble. Sure enough, soon, a pill flew out of the fire tripod. When this Shengdan flew out, a holy shadow appeared, and everyone was shocked. It turned out to be a holy shadow. An 8-star pharmacist in the medicine hall looked at the holy shadow and was extremely excited. It is difficult for the Cheyenne pill to have the Emperor's power, and it is 10 times more difficult for the Shengdan to have the holy shadow. Even many medicine gods find it difficult to refine a Shengdan with a holy shadow. Holy shadow? Not only were all the pharmacists in the medicine hall shocked, but even the Kishan medicine god was also surprised. The holy shadow has nothing to do with the quality of the elixir. Many top grade and even heaven grade holy pills do not have holy shadows. Because of this, it is very difficult to refine holy shadow pills. Yang Xiaoshan was also surprised. He did not expect that he could refine holy shadow pills. Before, he had not refined holy shadow pills. Kishan medicine god put the holy shadow pill in his hand and looked at it carefully. He was reluctant to look away. After a long time, he said with a complicated expression, "The best holy pills can produce holy shadows. It is rare to see 1,000 years. It passed the 8-star pharmacist assessment. Assessment, miracle. It is still a miracle." Everyone was shocked. It is very rare to be rated as a miracle in the assessment of 8-star pharmacists. But the young man in front of him did it. Kishan medicine god looked at Yang Xiaoshan with full admiration and smiled. "Congratulations, my friend, for becoming the youngest 8-star pharmacist in our Zhongshan continent." Half a day ago, the youngest 8-star pharmacist in Zhongshan continent was Xian Junheng of the Xian family. Now, he has been replaced by Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan clasped his fists and said, "Thank you, senior." Then he turned to the female pharmacist and said, "Please help me prepare the medicinal materials for the god-breaking pill." The female pharmacist was just excited, but now she was flattered. She nodded hurriedly and helped Yang Xiaoshan prepare the medicinal materials for refining the god-breaking pill. Soon, hundreds of medicinal materials for refining the god-breaking pill were all placed in front of everyone. Looking at the medicinal materials full of divine light in front of them, many people swallowed. Each of the divine level spiritual medicines is very valuable. Some pharmacists present even saw divine level spiritual medicines for the first time. The hall was quiet. Looking at the hundreds of divine level spiritual medicines in front of him, Yang Xiaoshan did not rush to refine the medicine, but first unfolded his soul power to cover these divine level spiritual medicines. After he understood the medicinal properties of these hundreds of divine level spiritual medicines, he completely released his soul power. Suddenly, thunder exploded, and the imperial capital was shaking. Countless sand and dust were floating. The sky and the earth were bright and dim. Soul power, 400 miles. Someone exclaimed, and the person who exclaimed was the medicine god Kishan. Previously, Yang Xiaoshan's soul power covered 200 miles, 300 miles, and the medicine god Kishan did not exclaim. But now, when he saw Yang Xiaoshan's soul power covered 400 miles, he exclaimed. Many pharmacists were shocked. It's no wonder that everyone was shocked. You know, Wuxin was one of the 4 medicine gods of Wanjian continent, and his soul power was only 400 miles. Now, Yang Xiaoshan, an 18-year-old boy, can also cover 400 miles with his soul power. How shocking. At this moment, everyone saw that countless earthy yellow flames surged out of the ground under Yang Xiaoshan's feet. It was the flame of the earth. Originally, Yang Xiaoshan didn't plan to use the strange fire, but there was no way. He was only at the peak of the 3rd level of the Holy Realm. Without the strange fire, it would be impossible to refine the top grade god-breaking pill across the border. At this moment, Yang Xiaoshan no longer concealed his strength, and the aura of the peak of the 3rd level of the Holy Realm swept the world. The peak of the 3rd level of the Holy Realm. Everyone was shocked. The peak of the 3rd level of the Holy Realm was nothing. There were many experts at the 10th level of the Holy Realm at the scene, but the key point was that Yang Xiaoshan was only 18 years old. The fire of heaven and earth gathered crazily on the hall, and after a change, a formation diagram was formed. Medicine formation. When the formation diagram was formed, the divine medicine on the ground slowly flew up. One by one, the divine medicine began to melt. Since it was the first time to refine divine medicine, Yang Xiaoshan slowed down, and the whole person merged with these divine medicines in the fire of heaven and earth. Finally, hundreds of divine medicines melted. The flame of the earth turned into a fire cauldron, sucking hundreds of molten liquids into it and slowly rotating. After a long wait, finally, divine light began to appear in the fire cauldron, and the divine light became stronger and stronger, and more and more. Seeing this, everyone was shocked. Under everyone's nervous gaze, finally, a pill with heavy divine light flew out of the fire cauldron, and this divine pill was entangled with gods. God's protection. Seeing the shadows of gods entwined around the god-breaking pill, Kishan medicine god exclaimed. God's protection. The legendary God's protection. This god-breaking pill has been protected by the gods. Many pharmacists also shouted excitedly. Legend has it that, if a god-level pill is recognized by the gods, it will be protected by the gods after it is produced. Many people have only seen descriptions of such strange scenes in ancient books. Kishan medicine god held the god-breaking pill in his hand, as if it were a supreme treasure. He was so excited that he spoke for a long time. The best god-breaking pill, protected by the gods, passed the 9-star pharmacist. Evaluation. Miracle. Congratulations, my friend, you have become the youngest medicine god in my Zhongshan continent. Evaluation. Miracle. The youngest medicine god in Zhongshan continent. Kishan medicine god's voice echoed in the medicine hall for a long time. Chapter 596. Imperial Preliminary Election. The news that Yang Xiaoshan passed the medicine god test soon spread, and the Linyuan imperial capital was in an uproar. Not long after Yang Xiaoshan passed the medicine god test, everyone in the Peng family finally arrived in the Linyuan imperial capital. Peng Fei looked at the imperial capital in front of him and sighed. Finally, we are here. However, when everyone in the Peng family entered the imperial capital, they found that the streets and alleys were excitedly discussing some medicine palace test. Peng Fei felt strange and asked an old ancestor of the Peng family to find out what was going on. Soon, the old ancestor returned, but when he came back, his face was extremely complicated. Peng Fei saw that the old ancestor had a strange look on his face and couldn't help asking, "Did you find out what it was?" The old ancestor hesitated for a moment and said, "Everyone is talking about it, saying that an 18-year-old boy passed the medicine god test today." What? 18 years old, passed the medicine god test? Peng Fei, Peng Hui and all the masters of the Peng family were extremely shocked. How is this possible? Is it a rumor? Peng Lin, the son of the Peng family, couldn't help but say, because it was too hard for people to believe. It's true. The old ancestor hesitated for a moment and said, "The boy's name is Yang Xiaoshan." Yang Xiaoshan? Peng Fei, Peng Hui, and all the masters of the Peng family stared with their eyes wide open. What do you think the boy's name is? Peng Hui still didn't believe it. It's Yang Xiaoshan. The old ancestor took a deep breath. He also knew that the head of the family and the old head of the family didn't believe it, so he said, "I have carefully inquired and confirmed that it was Grand Ancestor Peng Long and young Master Yang who went to the medicine hall to take the exam together. They are the same person. The same person." Peng Fei and Peng Hui trembled all over. The old ancestor said again, "I heard that the god of medicine Kishan came to the imperial capital. He happened to be in the medicine hall at that time and presided over the assessment for young Master Yang. Yang Xiaoshan passed the assessments of 6-star, 7-star, 8-star, and 9-star pharmacists all the way. The assessment of 6-star, 7-star, and 8-star pharmacists is a miracle. The assessment of the 9-star pharmacist is a miracle." Peng Hui said with a chuckle. "The assessment of the 9-star pharmacist is a miracle. Yes, young Master Yang has refined the god-breaking pill that is protected by the gods." The old ancestor's voice trembled a little when he talked about the protection of the gods. The protection of the gods. God's protection. Peng Fei was absent-minded. After a long time, Peng Fei suddenly looked up to the sky and sighed. "Lonja has good intentions. I'm old and confused." Previously, his son Peng Long asked him to use all the resources of the Peng family to train Yang Xiaoshan, and he thought his son was possessed by some kind of demon. Now he finally understood his son's good intentions. Regardless of whether Yang Xiaoshan can win the first place in the conferred god battle in the future, the fact that Yang Xiaoshan can refine the divine protection and destroying god pill at the age of 18 is worth all the resources of the Peng family to befriend Yang Xiaoshan. Prepare the most generous gift and take out the treasures of my Peng family. I will personally go to the door and apologize to Mr. Yang. Peng Fei said to his son Peng Hui in the most serious tone. The treasures of the Peng family? Peng Hui's heart trembled, and then he nodded and said, "Yes, father." At this time, in the branch hall of the Sword God Temple, the second Sword God disciple Wang Yang was practicing swordsmanship in the courtyard. Hearing the noise outside the main hall, he stopped practicing and walked out. As soon as he walked into the main hall, he heard many Sword God Temple disciples talking about it. At the age of 18, he refined the God-breaking pill that is protected by the gods and passed the medicine god test. It's incredible. Senior Kishin medicine god personally invited Yang Xiaoshan to join the Zhongshan pharmacist hall. Wang Yang was stunned and said, "What did you just say?" Yang Xiaoshan passed the medicine god test. Seeing that it was Wang Yang, the Sword God Temple disciples quickly saluted and replied, "Yes, Lord Wang Yang." Today an 18-year-old boy named Yang Xiaoshan passed the medicine god test in the pharmacist hall of Alaniuan imperial capital. He became the youngest medicine god in our Zhongshan continent. This matter has spread, and I heard that even Zhao Xianjun was alarmed. Wang Yang was shocked. 18 years old, medicine god. If it spread to the heavenly court, it would not only alarm Zhao Xianjun, but even Taishi Xiandi would be alarmed. Wang Yang swallowed and said, "Is he at the peak of the third level of the Holy Realm?" "Yes, Lord Wang Yang, he is at the peak of the third level of the Holy Realm," the Sword God Temple disciples quickly replied. However, they were puzzled. Wasn't Lord Wang Yang always practicing swordsmanship in the courtyard? How did he know that Yang Xiaoshan was at the peak of the third level of the Saint Realm? Wang Yang smiled bitterly when he heard this. Not only did he help the youngest medicine god of Zhongshan continent to sign up yesterday, but he also cheated him out of 100,000 low-grade spirit stones. Thinking of this, Wang Yang couldn't help but stamp his feet and beat his chest. Damn it. If he had known that the boy would become the youngest medicine god of Zhongshan continent the next day, he would never have dared to ask for the 100,000 low-grade spirit stones. If his master knew, he would have skinned him alive. After Yang Xiaoshan passed the 9-star pharmacist assessment, Kishan medicine god personally awarded Yang Xiaoshan the 9-star pharmacist robe and the 9-star pharmacist medal. The 9-star pharmacist robe is made of excellent materials, with the main color being purple and the edging being gold, exuding a noble aura. The 9-star pharmacist medal is also purple gold, made of rare purple gold divine iron, with 9 corners, reflecting divine brilliance in the sun. However, the 9-star pharmacist's brocade robe and medal were too conspicuous and too showy, so Yang Xiaoshan did not wear them, and put them in the Jade Dragon Heavenly Cauldron. After giving Yang Xiaoshan the 9-star pharmacist's robe, Kishan medicine god took Yang Xiaoshan into the inner hall, and chatted about family matters. When he learned that Yang Xiaoshan had signed up for the preliminary selection of the Linyuan Empire, and was going to participate in the conferred god war, Kishan medicine god was surprised. Brother Yang is going to participate in the conferred god war? It was no wonder that Kishan medicine god was surprised. After all, Yang Xiaoshan was only at the peak of the third level of the Holy Realm. Yang Xiaoshan smiled and said, "I'm bored, so I'm joining in the fun." Kishan medicine god smiled and said, "Since Brother Yang is going to participate in the conferred god war, I have to stay and watch the game." Although he also felt that Yang Xiaoshan, who was at the peak of the third level of the Holy Realm, could not win a good place in the conferred god war, he always felt that Yang Xiaoshan was not a person who was bored. Moreover, Yang Xiaoshan's tone just now revealed a strong sense of self-confidence. He was very curious about where Yang Xiaoshan got such strong self-confidence. The next day, Yang Xiaoshan and Penglong returned to the rented palace. When they returned, they were shocked to see that the palace he rented was full of powerful people from all sides, and they were all the ancestors of the major superpowers in the Linyuan Empire. Even the Emperor of the Linyuan Empire came in person. Yang Xiaoshan also saw Peng Fei and Peng Hui in the crowd. Finally, Yang Xiaoshan accepted everyone's things, and everyone left happily. In the palace, Yang Xiaoshan took out the top-grade god-breaking pill that he had refined today, and then gave it to the destiny tree to devour. With this top-grade god-breaking pill, the destiny tree can grow 2 destiny fruits. In the first election next month, he will have the hope of breaking through the 4th level of the Saint Realm. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. The Empire's primary election finally began. "Senior, let's go." Yang Xiaoshan stood up and said to Penglong. Chapter 597. Could it be him? Hearing Yang Xiaoshan say to set off, Penglong was shocked. "Yes, young master. He knew what his young master meant by setting off. So, the two of them left the rented palace. When the two walked out of the palace, they saw that the entire imperial capital was boiling, with huge crowds of people. Hundreds of millions of powerful people from all states, provinces, and cities in the Linuan Empire were pouring into the imperial palace square. Many powerful family members rode on their divine beasts and passed by Yang Ocean. However, Yang Ocean had Penlong, a 10th level peak god, by his side, so even the most powerful divine beasts had to take a detour. Many powerful family members saw their divine beasts bypassing Yang Ocean and looked sideways in surprise. Who is this young man? An old ancestor of the family did not know Yang Ocean and asked his men. But his men did not know him either, and they all shook their heads. At this moment, suddenly, an old ancestor of the family in the distance said in surprise and excitement, "It's the god of medicine. God of medicine." As soon as the words came out, the surrounding streets instantly became quiet. When the old ancestor of the family heard that the young man in front of him was the god of medicine, he almost fell off the divine beast. Because Yang Ocean refined a divine elixir protected by the gods when he was assessing the 9-star medicine god. So this month, many people gave Yang Ocean a title, God of Medicine. God of Medicine. Although the name is not very loud, it is unique, because no pharmacist in Zongshan continent has ever refined a divine elixir protected by the gods when assessing the medicine god. Yang Ocean is the first person. Hearing the title of God of Medicine, Yang Ocean was surprised. This month, he has been in the palace swallowing the destiny fruit to practice, and he didn't know what was happening outside. He didn't really know that he had such a title. However, he didn't care, nodded and smiled at everyone, and continued to move forward with Penlong. Maybe, after the imperial primary election is over, the title of God of Medicine will change. After learning about Yang Ocean's identity, many powerful people stopped in their tracks. Even many ancestors who were riding on divine beasts quickly turned over and let Yang Ocean and his companions go first. Only after Yang Ocean and his companions walked away did many ancestors dare to continue riding on their divine beasts. As there was no obstruction, Yang Ocean arrived at the Imperial Palace Square in a short while. The Imperial Palace Square was even more crowded with powerful people from all sides. The god of medicine protection is here. Someone in the crowd shouted excitedly. Suddenly, the square was shaken, and everyone looked at Yang Ocean. All of them were extremely excited. It's the god of medicine protection. I was there when the god of medicine protection refined the divine pill protected by the gods. One by one, the ancestors, family heads, and clan masters of the sects bowed to Yang Ocean and saluted excitedly. God of medicine protection. The god of medicine protection is now the pride of the Linuan Empire. The pharmacists who saw Yang Ocean refine the broken divine pill protected by the gods at the scene at that time have all been excited and proud to promote the magical skills of Yang Ocean in refining medicine at that time. Seeing all the strong men in the square bowing to him excitedly, Yang Ocean finally knew his current status. On the wall of the imperial capital, Emperor Linuan learned of Yang Ocean's arrival and hurried down to invite Yang Ocean to climb the wall of the imperial capital. However, Yang Ocean declined. After all, he was here to participate in the imperial primary election. On the wall of the imperial capital, Zhao Xianjun and Kishin Yaoshan stood side by side. Zhao Xianjun's eyes fell on Yang Ocean, but the moment he saw Yang Ocean, his heart was shocked. He has the god eye of heaven, which can peek into the future. He has used the god eye of heaven to peek into the future of Zongshan continent, but only saw a picture. And this picture is a boy in a blue robe standing on the top of the gods. Under the feet of the boy, there are billions of gods crawling. These billions of gods, each of them has an extremely powerful aura. However, although he has the god eye of heaven, he still can't see the appearance of this boy clearly. Now seeing Yang Ocean, he can't help but think of the boy in the future picture. Could it be him? Exclamation mark. Zhao Xianjun's face changed drastically. These days, he has been trying to find the boy in the picture, but he has never found any results. But now when he saw Yang Ocean, he had a strong intuition that Yang Ocean was the boy in the picture. Kishan Yaoshen saw Xiao Xianjun staring at Yang Xiaoshen and his face changed drastically and couldn't help wondering, "Old Xiao, are you okay?" Xiao Xianjun came back to his senses and shook his head, "It's okay." Then he asked with a smile, "Is he the god of medicine?" Kishan Yaoshen looked at Yang Xiaoshen and smiled, "Yes, brother Yang's talent in refining medicine is 100 times better than mine." "Better than you 100 times? Xiao Xianjun was shocked. Kishan Yaoshen is the #1 medicine god in Zhongshan continent, and he is still clear about his level of refining medicine. If he said that the boy is 100 times better than him, is it an exaggeration? Kishan Yaoshen knew that Xiao Xianjun didn't believe it, and smiled. His level of refining medicine may not be as high as mine now, but in 100 years, he will definitely surpass me, and in 10,000 years, he will be 100 times better than me. Xiao Xianjun was shocked. He couldn't help but look at Yang Xiaoshen in the crowd. Will this boy surpass Kishan medicine god in 100 years? Doesn't that mean that this boy will be the #1 medicine god in Zhongshan continent in 100 years? Kishan medicine god looked at Yang Xiaoshen and said with a smile, this little guy was still reserved when he was assessing the 9-star medicine god. Otherwise, what he refined would not be the best god-breaking pill. You mean, he can refine the best god-breaking pill now? Xiao Xianjun said in surprise. It was terrifying for an 18-year-old boy to be able to refine the best god-breaking pill. If he could refine the best god-breaking pill, wouldn't that mean that Yang Xiaoshen could be on the medicine god list? Kishan medicine god smiled and didn't have any problem with this question. Instead, he said, his talent for refining medicine is the best I have ever seen in my life, but I'm more curious about his martial arts talent. This little guy might give us a big surprise later. Xiao Xianjun was also curious about Yang Xiaoshen's martial arts talent. However, he was not very optimistic about Yang Xiaoshen in this imperial primary election. After all, Yang Xiaoshen's realm was too low. A saint realm 3rd level peak. No matter how strong the fighting power is, it is impossible to defeat so many gods of 1st level. Moreover, even if he is a god of 1st level, he cannot pass the imperial preliminary. There are hundreds of gods of 2nd level who participated in the imperial preliminary. After a while, seeing that the time had come, the ancestor of the Linyuan Empire personally presided over the preliminary competition and began to read out the rules of the imperial preliminary. The imperial preliminary is divided into 2 rounds. The first round is to enter the secret realm to hunt beasts, and the second round is a ring competition. It is almost the same as some of the competitions Yang Xiaoshen encountered before. Tens of millions of disciples participated in the competition, and only 10,000 people could pass the first round. That is, 999 people would be eliminated out of 1,000. After the second round, only 10 people will represent the Linyuan Empire to go to the Heavenly Court to participate in the conferred God War. After reading the rules, the ancestor of the Linyuan Empire opened the secret realm passage. Everyone rushed to the secret realm passage. Yang Xiaoshen also followed everyone into the secret realm, and in the blink of an eye, he came to a vast and boundless desert. Chapter 598. Really the first. This desert is home to an endless number of poisonous scorpions and cave-dwelling beasts. However, these beasts are hiding underground in the desert, so it is difficult to hunt them. Moreover, these beasts are almost all in the spirit realm, and the weakest is also in the 10th level of the holy realm. People like Yang Xiaoshen, who are in the 3rd or 4th level of the holy realm, basically cannot hunt down any beasts. Under normal circumstances, when the first round of the day is over, Yang Xiaoshen will be eliminated with 0 points. Just as Yang Xiaoshen was using his soul power to find the hiding places of the beasts underground in the desert, a huge stone mirror flashed outside the Imperial Palace Square. The ranking of the disciples who hunted beasts appeared on it. The first place was Liang Heng, a disciple of Xiao Xianjun. In just a short while, Liang Heng's points had reached more than 100 points. This means that Liang Heng had already hunted more than 100 beasts after just a while, which is amazing. The second place was Wang Yang, a disciple of the 2nd Sword God. The third place was Zzetao, the crown prince of the Linyuan Empire. The fourth place was Peng Lin, the son of the Peng family. The 4 of them all scored more than 100 points. The others all scored several tens or even a few points. However, only the top 10,000 people appeared on the Stone Mirror list, which means that only those who made it to the Stone Mirror list could pass the first round, and the others would be eliminated. Everyone was nervously staring at the changes in the Stone Mirror list. Kishan Yaoshen was also looking for Yang Xiaoshen's name, and when he found that Yang Xiaoshen's name was not there, he couldn't help but frown. Only Peng Long stood in the corner, looking forward to the appearance of the name Yang Xiaoshen. In the secret realm, Yang Xiaoshen took out his identity card and sank his soul into it. Watching the frequent changes in the list, he was too lazy to use his soul power to search for those beasts. Instead, he urged the Sea of Gods and stepped deep into the ground. Boom. The terrifying power spread out, destroying one desert after another. One piece of ground after another was lifted up, with Yang Xiaoshen as the center. Within a radius of 10,000 miles, all the beasts hiding deep underground were shaken to death. Blood and flesh flew everywhere, and sand and dust rolled. From a distance, it looked like a blood-colored sandstorm, extremely charming. Suddenly, Yang Xiaoshen's identity card flashed wildly. The points kept soaring, and the ranking also kept rising wildly. But, like a rocket, Yang Xiaoshen's name rushed into the Stone Mirror list. When Yang Xiaoshen's name rushed into the Stone Mirror list, the light of the Stone Mirror vibrated. An ancestor saw the three words Yang Xiaoshen suddenly rush into the Stone Mirror list, and was stunned for a moment, and then said in shock, "The god of medicine has rushed into the list. It's the god of medicine." One by one, the ancestors and the sect masters noticed Yang Xiaoshen's name, and they couldn't help but make an uproar. Kishan Medicine God and Xiao Xianjun were both stunned. This little guy's really unexpected. He can actually rush into the list. Kishan Medicine God smiled. No matter what, it is an honor for Yang Xiaoshen, a saint, to rush into the list, even if he only stays for a while. But he and Xiao Xianjun saw that after Yang Xiaoshen entered the Stone Mirror ranking, his points were still changing, and he soon reached the 9,000th place. 9,000th place. The strong men on the scene were also shocked. But it was not over yet. Yang Xiaoshen's points were still increasing. Soon he rose to the 8,000th place. 8,000. Everyone was in an uproar. Kishan Yaoshen was surprised and said with a smile, "Old Xiao, what do you think is the highest place brother Yang can reach on the list?" Xiao Xianjun looked at Yang Xiaoshen, who continued to rise after entering the list, and smiled. No matter how high he goes, he can't rush into the top 5,000. This time, among the participating disciples, there are more than 5,000 people who are at the peak of the late first stage of the divine realm. In Xiao Xianjun's opinion, even if Yang Xiaoshen's points soared, he could not suppress those strong men at the peak of the late first stage of the divine realm. Kishan Yaoshen nodded and smiled. I think brother Yang should be able to rush into the top 5,000. Although he thought it was impossible, he still hoped that a miracle would happen, hoping that Yang Xiaoshen would have a miracle like when he was assessing the 6-star, 7-star, and 8-star pharmacists. 7,000. Suddenly, an old ancestor shouted excitedly. Kishan Yaoshen looked over and saw that Yang Xiaoshen had indeed reached the 7,000 mark. Seeing Yang Xiaoshen rush into the 7,000 ranking, countless strong men at the scene were in an uproar. The god of medicine has actually rushed into the 7,000. Many strong men looked incredible. Peng Long heard this, but his face was calm. 7,000? This is just the beginning. In everyone's incredible eyes, Yang Xiaoshen's name rushed into the 6,000 in the blink of an eye. Seeing that Yang Xiaoshen's ranking, after rushing into the 6,000, was still approaching 5,000 at an astonishing speed, Xiao Xianjun was very surprised. Could it really rush into the 5,000? But, when Yang Xiaoshen rushed into the 5,000, the Stone Mirror list shook again. Kishan Yaoshen laughed. I really didn't expect that brother Yang really rushed into the top 5,000. But soon, Yang Xiaoshen rushed into the 4,000, and then the 3,000. Kishan Yaoshen was dumbfounded. When Yang Xiaoshen rushed into the 1,000, all the strong men on all sides of the square were shocked. But after rushing into the 1,000 mark, Yang Xiaoshen's points continued to soar. 900, 800, 700. Yang Xiaoshen's name rushed into the top 100 with an unstoppable momentum. But it didn't stop. It was still rising, and finally, it rushed into the top 10. Top 10. Seeing this, everyone took a breath. Finally, everyone saw that Yang Ocean's ranking was still rising. Is this going to enter the top 5? An ancestor muttered to himself, almost sluggish. Finally, Yang Ocean lived up to everyone's expectations and entered the top 5. Just when everyone thought it would stop completely, finally, the 4th ranked Peng family godson Peng Lin was squeezed down by Yang Ocean. 4th. Everyone was shocked. Then, Yang Ocean squeezed out the 3rd ranked Linean Empire Crown Prince Zetao. 3rd. The whole scene was so loud that you could hear a pin drop. Not the 1st, right? Someone chuckled. A moment later, Yang Ocean squeezed out Wang Yang of the Sword God Temple and Zhao Xianjun's disciple Liang Heng again, and firmly occupied the list. When Yang Ocean rushed to the top of the stone mirror, Yang Ocean's 3 lights were extremely blazing, and the stone mirror burst out circles of light. It seemed that the name Yang Ocean activated the stone mirror. 309 points. Looking at the points behind Yang Ocean's name, Zhao Xianjun was finally surprised, and his disciple, ranked 2nd, had less than 200 points. However, he couldn't believe that Yang Ocean had hunted more than 300 beasts in such a short time. All the beasts in the secret realm are above the 10th level of the Holy Realm. How did Yang Ocean, who is at the peak of the 3rd level of the Holy Realm, do it? Not only Zhao Xianjun couldn't believe it, but all the strong men in the square couldn't believe it. First, it's really first. Peng Fei, Peng Hui and a group of masters from the Peng family stared at the top of the list, and they all thought of what Peng Long said before. This time in the conferred god battle, young Master Yang will definitely win 1st place. Chapter 599. This Yang Ocean will probably be very powerful in the future. The battle of the gods, we must win the 1st place. This is what Peng Long said to Peng Fei and others before. Peng Fei was so angry when he heard it that he really wanted to give his son a slap. A Saint Realm level 3 can actually win the 1st place in the battle of the gods? Isn't this crazy? But now he looked at the shining word on the top of the list, but it was a storm. If young Master Yang really won the 1st place in this battle of the gods as his son said, wouldn't it be? Thinking of this, Peng Fei took a breath of cold air. He regretted it even more. At this time, in the secret realm, whether it was Liang Heng, Wang Yang, Zetao, Peng Lin and others, they all looked at the changes in the list in the identity card with astonishment. Seeing that the top position was occupied by Yang Ocean, a saint realm, Liang Heng madly bombarded and killed, and his points rose at an astonishing speed. Finally, his points began to approach Yang Ocean. However, when his points were about to approach Yang Ocean, suddenly, Yang Ocean's points soared again, and this time the soaring was even more severe. Far away from him, Liang Heng was stunned. He no longer hid his strength, and rushed into the group of fierce beasts. The magic sword in his hand turned into a sword dragon, constantly harvesting dozens of fierce beasts around him. But when he finished hunting dozens of fierce beasts around him, he found that Yang Ocean's score had soared to 600. Liang Heng didn't believe in evil, and used the Xianjun secret method passed down to him by his master Zhao Xianjun. Under the Xianjun secret method, his points increased again amazingly. However, Liang Heng found that no matter how fast his points increased, he could not surpass Yang Ocean. No matter what secret method he used, it was useless. And Wang Yang of the Sword God Temple also used the Supreme Sword method passed down to him by his master, the second Sword God, but it was also useless. He could not keep up with Liang Heng, let alone keep up with Yang Ocean. Perhaps stimulated by Yang Ocean, the disciples who entered the secret realm were all hunting with all their strength. Outside the square, medicine god Qishan saw that Yang Ocean always occupied the list, and couldn't help but joked, "This little guy, is he going to win the 1st round?" Although it was only the Imperial Preliminary, it was a joke that a Saint Realm won the 1st round of the Imperial Preliminary. If it got out, what would the surrounding empires think? What would the Heavenly Court Empire think? Wouldn't the Linean Empire become a joke? Zhao Xianjun also had a strange look on his face. If his direct disciple lost to a Saint Realm 3rd level peak, and it got out, then he, Zhao Xianjun, would lose face. Not far away, the masters of the Sword God Temple also had a colorful look on their faces. Wang Yang was the direct disciple of the second sword god of their Sword God Temple. In the first round of the Imperial Preliminary, he was actually suppressed by a Saint Realm 3rd level peak. The old ancestor of Linyuan Empire looked at the ranking of his great-great-grandson Zzao and said with emotion, "The god of medicine protection is really amazing and unexpected." Then he said with a joking smile, "If the god of medicine protection can really win the first place in the first round of the preliminary selection of my Linyuan Empire, it will be truly world famous." Although he said so, he still didn't believe that Yang Xiaoshan could really keep the first place until the end of the first round. Time passed. An hour passed. Yang Xiaoshan still firmly occupied the first place. Moreover, Yang Xiaoshan's points have exceeded Liang Heng by twice. More than twice as much as Wang Yang. When 2 hours passed, Yang Xiaoshan's points have exceeded Liang Heng by 3 times. Seeing this result, the strong men from all sides who originally thought that Yang Xiaoshan would not occupy the top spot for too long looked at each other. Finally, under the strange eyes of everyone, a day passed. The first round ended. Yang Xiaoshan, Liang Heng, Wang Yang, Zzao and a group of disciples were all sent out of the secret realm. When Yang Xiaoshan and his disciples were sent out, the points on the stone mirror list stopped, and at the top of the list, Yang Xiaoshan's name shone like the sun. Liang Heng, Wang Yang, Zzao and others' names were like the bright moon. However, under Yang Xiaoshan's sun-like light, the light of Liang Heng and others seemed so dim. On the list, Yang Xiaoshan's points were 10 times that of Liang Heng. This score was simply eye-catching. Seeing Yang Xiaoshan coming out of the secret realm, everyone's faces were colorful. "Congratulations, young master." Peng Long came up quickly, bowed to Yang Xiaoshan and smiled. At this time, Qishan medicine god stepped forward, came to Yang Xiaoshan, and smiled. Brother Yang won the first round of the Empire preliminary selection with the peak realm of the 3rd level of the Holy Realm, which made Qishan really admire him. This was the true words of Qishan medicine god. "Senior, you are too kind." Yang Xiaoshan smiled. The medicine god of heaven said with a smile, "I'm not praising you." Then he said with a smile, "Let's go and have a drink to celebrate for you." Since the second round will be held the next day, the disciples who passed the first round still have one day to prepare. On the wall of the Imperial Palace, Zhao Xianjun looked at Yang Xiaoshan's leaving figure, and he was in doubt. He couldn't help but think of the scene he saw before. Could it be that boy? However, he still found it hard to believe that 100 years later, the boy in front of him would stand at the top of the gods. After all, the other party was only in the Saint Realm. Even if the other party practiced very fast, it would be impossible for him to stand at the top of the gods 100 years later. Liang Heng came to Zhao Xianjun and lowered his head. "Master, let's talk about it when we get back." Zhao Xianjun shook his hand and then went back to the palace with Liang Heng. After returning to the palace, Zhao Xianjun pondered and asked, "Did anything unusual happen in the secret realm today? Abnormal things?" Liang Heng recalled and suddenly said, "By the way, many disciples in the secret realm today said that the ground often shook violently, just like a magnitude 20 earthquake." A magnitude 20 earthquake. Zhao Xianjun was surprised and stared at the sky, saying, "This Yang Xiaoshan will be extraordinary in the future." Extraordinary? Liang Heng was surprised and said, "Master means that this Yang Xiaoshan will be very abnormal in this conferred god battle?" Zhao Xianjun remained silent, and after a while he whispered, "Maybe we will know tomorrow." Knowing whether Yang Xiaoshan is the boy he saw in the picture. And today, for everyone in the Linyuan Empire, it is destined to be a sleepless night. The next day, the sun was shining. Yang Xiaoshan was in high spirits and came to the scene with Peng Long. "Meet the god of medicine." The ancestors of all parties at the scene bowed and saluted, but when they saw Yang Xiaoshan again, everyone's face was somewhat different. Yang Xiaoshan knew what everyone was thinking, nodded to everyone, and then began to wait quietly for the second round to begin. Wang Yang from the Sword God Temple was standing far away. He wanted to come over and talk to Yang Xiaoshan about the 100,000 low-grade spirit stones several times, but he held back in the end. Soon, the second round began. Everyone began to draw lots to decide the opponent. Yang Xiaoshen's opponent in the first round was a disciple of the Zhang family named Zhang Wenyi, who was at the peak of the late 10th level of the Holy Realm. Generally speaking, those who can pass the first round are at least at the first level of the Divine Spirit. However, this time, there are two exceptions in the Linyuan Empire. One is Yang Xiaoshen, and the other is Zhang Wenyi. Zhang Wenyi, a peak of the late 10th level of the Holy Realm, can pass the first round, which shows how terrifying his combat power is. It is no exaggeration to say that he is stronger than many first level divine spirits. Chapter 600, Leo Zhao, what can you see? Zhang Wenyi flew up, landed on the stage, and stared at Yang Xiaoshen. The old ancestor of the Linyuan Empire was surprised to see that Yang Xiaoshen was going to fight Zhang Wenyi in the first match, and said, Zhang Wenyi. When Zhao Xianjun heard this, he was also surprised and said, is this young man Zhang Wenyi? Zhao Xianjun, as the Heavenly Lord, is in charge of tens of thousands of empires. He has more than 100 million families under his command, and there are endless geniuses, but not many can attract his attention. Zhang Wenyi is one of them. He has heard his subordinates report Zhang Wenyi's talent, so he has some impression of Zhang Wenyi from the Linyuan Empire. Seeing that even Zhao Xianjun was surprised, Qishan Yaoshan asked, is this young man very talented? The old ancestor of the Linyuan Empire saw that it was Qishan Yaoshan who spoke, and quickly replied, yes senior, this young man can be said to be the first person in the holy realm of my Linyuan Empire. He is not only the first person in the holy realm of my Linyuan Empire, but also the first person in the holy realm in King's Hao. Below Taishi Xiandi are the 10 great Xianjins. The 10 great heavenly lords govern tens of thousands of empires or hundreds of thousands of empires. The tens of thousands of empires governed by Zhao Xianjun are collectively called King's Hao. When Qishan Yaoshen heard the ancestor of Linyuan Empire say that Zhang Wenyi was the first person in the holy realm of tens of thousands of empires in King's Hao, he was moved. If it was just the first person in the holy realm of Linyuan Empire, it would not be a big deal. But if it was the first person in the holy realm of tens of thousands of empires in King's Hao, it would be terrifying. At this time, Zhang Wenyi clasped his fists to Yang Xiaoshen and said, my lord god of divine protection, I'm sorry. When he said this, his whole body was full of divine light and soared into the sky. A powerful and incomparable force from the ancient times swept across the world. Ancient divine body. An extremely strong top divine body. It's the ancient divine body. Qishan Yaoshen was surprised. The ancient divine body is extremely rare. Even if there are millions of empires in Zhongshan continent, the ancient divine body has not appeared for millions of years. The ancient divine body is extremely terrifying in terms of strength, defense and speed. It can be said that the ancient divine body has no shortcomings at all. Everyone at the scene looked at Yang Xiaoshen. Yesterday, almost the entire Linyuan Empire was speculating about Yang Xiaoshen's martial arts talent. Everyone wanted to know how Yang Xiaoshen would deal with this battle. Everyone wanted to see what means Yang Xiaoshen relied on to hunt more beasts than Liang Heng and Wang Yang. But, suddenly, Zhang Wenyi made a move. He came to Yang Xiaoshen in an instant, and urged the holy power of the Sea of Gods. With a punch, the surging holy power and the power of the ancient god body suddenly hit Yang Xiaoshen's chest. Bang! Zhang Wenyi hit Yang Xiaoshen with a punch. The huge shock shocked everyone. No one expected that Zhang Wenyi's strongest punch would hit Yang Xiaoshen. Yang Xiaoshen was defeated like this? Even Qishan Yaoshen and Zhao Xianjun, who were full of expectations, were also shocked. But the next moment, Qishan Yaoshen and Zhao Xianjun were surprised to see that Yang Xiaoshen, who had received Zhang Wenyi's strongest punch, did not fly out, but stood on the ring, motionless. Even his shoulders did not move. It was as if Zhang Wenyi's full strength punch from the ancient divine body just now did not hit him. Not only everyone was stunned, but Zhang Wenyi was also stunned. Although he had not yet used the power of his holy fruit, his punch just now was something that even many gods in the first level could not withstand, let alone withstand his punch without moving. Liang Heng and Wang Yang were also shocked when they saw this scene. Old Zhao, can you see anything? The medicine god of heaven looked at Yang Xiaoshen with a serious face. Zhao Xianjun also looked at Yang Xiaoshen with a serious face and shook his head and said, I can't see it. Because Yang Xiaoshen didn't use any kind of power just now. To be precise, he simply used the power of his physical body to resist the punch of Zhang Wen's ancient divine body. That's right, it's even more terrifying. If Yang Xiaoshan used the power of the divine body or destiny or other powers, it would be fine. But Yang Xiaoshan didn't even use the power of the divine body and the power of destiny just now. He just stood there and withstood the punch of Zhang Huang's ancient divine body. Many ancestors at the scene were horrified. In terms of combat power, Zhang Wen is indeed stronger than Liang Gang during the Kunlun sword contest. If Yang Xiaoshan is still at the peak of the 10th level of the Emperor realm, he cannot take Zhang Wen's punch with his physical strength alone. But now, Yang Xiaoshan is no longer at the peak of the 10th level of the Emperor realm, but at the 4th level of the Holy Realm. After breaking through the Holy Realm, his physical body has been strengthened again, and his strength, defense, and speed have all been greatly improved. Moreover, these days, he has swallowed the destiny fruit to practice, and his physical body has been continuously condensed under the tempering of the destiny fruit and the destiny tree's destiny energy, and has reached a terrifying level. Yang Xiaoshan's whole body shook, and an amazing force surged out, shaking Zhang Wen back. Zhang Wen flew back for a while, and landed on the edge of the ring, and almost fell out of the ring. Seeing that Yang Xiaoshan almost shook Zhang Wen out of the ring with just a shake of holy power, everyone gasped. Zhang Wen looked at Yang Xiaoshan, and his eyes could not hide the fear. Yesterday, Yang Xiaoshan won the first round. Many people did not believe that Yang Xiaoshan was stronger than Liang Heng and Wang Yang. Zhang Wen did not believe it either. But after the fight just now, he realized that Yang Xiaoshan's strength was beyond his imagination. Zhang Wen took a deep breath and looked at Yang Xiaoshan solemnly. I didn't expect that the god of medicine was so strong. If so, I can only fight him. Just now, he saw that Yang Xiaoshan's realm was lower than his, and he was still hesitant to attack. Now, he has no scruples. Zhang Wen immediately activated the power of the Sea of God's holy fruit. Suddenly, one holy fruit after another condensed behind him. Ninefold holy fruit. Everyone at the scene exclaimed. And there were 10 ninefold holy fruits. 10 ninefold holy fruits rotated up and down in a circular trajectory behind them, blooming with infinite holy power. In Zongshan continent even geniuses who condensed ninefold holy fruits are extremely rare. In the tens of thousands of empires in King's Hao, the number of Saint Realm geniuses who can condense ninefold holy fruits can be counted on one hand. Not to mention condensing 10 ninefold holy fruits. 10 ninefold holy fruits are absolutely unique in the tens of thousands of empires in King's Hao. No wonder everyone exclaimed. When Zhao Xianjun saw Zhang Wen's 10 ninefold holy fruits, he exclaimed, "You are worthy of being the first person in the Holy Realm under my King's Hao. 10 years have passed, and you have condensed the 10th ninefold holy fruit." 10 years ago, when his subordinates reported Zhang Wen to him, Zhang Wen only had 9 ninefold holy fruits. Now, Zhang Wen has condensed the 10th ninefold holy fruit, and his combat power is undoubtedly stronger. Black Sea's toughest. In the amazement of everyone, Zhang Wen's 10 holy fruits and divine body were activated, and suddenly both fists hit Yang Xiaoshan. The fist force roared like a Black Sea, and the stars flashed over the Black Sea. The Black Sea's toughest is an ancient supreme divine fist. In ancient times, the Shura fist god used this fist to kill people in all directions, and he was almost invincible. Zhang Wen's punch was so powerful that the faces of many first level gods at the scene changed drastically. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.